Animated gangster. Oh fuck.
No, yeah, shit. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be Alicia's animated gangster. What's up, Louie? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Alicia Here Returns. I'm here with Sanimation05. And today we're doing our movies and chill segment. This is episode 2, and we're talking about an amazing flick.
Yes.
This movie right here. Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. And an amazing movie. Based on, it's a 1990s movie, 1990, I think, when it came out, but it's based on the 1985 book by Nicholas Pileggi called Wiseguy. And some of the characters' names and stuff and the plot of the movie kind of deviates a little bit from the book, but for the most part, it's like pretty badass and a really good job of depicting the book. And actually, Nicholas Pileggi helped Martin Scorsese write the screenplay for it. So you have the actual author of the book helping the director of the movie work together to make this movie. And that's why, I mean, I think they preserved this in the National Film Registry. It's regarded as one of the greatest movies of all time, much like we did in the first episode of this segment, Godfather. It's regarded like as good as that, like on par with that. So amazing. When's the first time you saw this, Anna? When's the first time you saw Goodfellas?
Oh, this was like somewhere in the 90s. Watching TV and it would come on and knowing, like Al Pacino was not in this movie, and then De Niro, it's like the gangsters and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I'm curious about this one. And the Ray Liotta. I always want to say Lolita. I don't know. but he was in a few movies also during that time. So he was kind of like a famous actor, and it was at the time I didn't understand as much as I do like later in life. But it's a very awesome, interesting movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, same thing. You and I.
Oh, we're the same pose.
Yeah. We talked about this before with the Godfather stream. Like, it's the same kind of thing. I remember watching this. Like, Godfather was different because my pap was still alive when Godfather came out, and he was alive when this came out too. But I actually didn't see it till later. I didn't see Goodfellas until like a little bit down the road. I think I saw it probably like around 94, 95, and it came out in 90. And I think the first time I saw it too was on TV. Like, it was on TV, like it was on like a just station with commercials. So it would like back to Goodfellas. And I remember the first time I saw it, it was like an edited version. So they cut like the swearing out and things were bleeped out, and some of the stuff was edited for TV. But I still thought even so though, I thought it was awesome even then. And then I remember like later in life, like I said, the video rental store had movies, and I went and got it like a couple years after that and actually watched it because I loved it so much, just seeing it on TV.
Didn't your grandfather recorded from TV then? Because he was like the master, right? What was it for that?
Yeah. Well, my pap did, but around that time, like when it came out, I don't think he was into it that much because he was like, at that point in time, he was, pretty much like getting pretty bad health wise. So that kind of stopped. So, but then my dad, like I told you, my dad kind of picked up kind of like where I did stuff with my pap left off. My dad was a huge De Niro fan. So like my dad would watch like any De Niro movie on TV. And I think I was watching, Goodfellas because my dad had it on. And I was probably just like playing with toys or something like on the living room floor, but looking up at the screen, like watching it, like, oh, like with the TV. Because like I was just fascinated. Because here's the thing. My dad, I always thought looked like De Niro. Like my dad looked like De Niro. So like every time I saw the TV, like, and I looked up, I was like, that's Dad, right? Like I just thought he looked like him. He does. Like to this day, he still kind of resembles him a little bit, So I was like, hey, Dad's on TV, right? So like I would sit there and watch it, and I'd be like, oh, cool. Is that Dad? Is that Dad? And then, like I said, eventually going to the video rental store, actually watching the full movie, like in my teen years. And then like really loving it and appreciating it, like, and then becoming like a huge Scorsese fan because I was getting into film too. Like I was actually getting into movies. Like I became like a cinephile, like a person who just loved movies. So like I went to
Oh yeah.
the video store every chance I could get just to get the best movies. And Family Video was a store we had around here, and they actually had stuff like labeled like rating wise. They're like, this movie's like a 9 out of 10 on this scale, or an 8 out of 10, or a 7 out of 10. So like you could go to a section and go to like where they had movies that were rated by like the International Movie Database, and like Rotten Tomatoes is out now, but like back then it was IMDb was like the place to go to like find all your
Oh,
movies.
till this day, I don't give a fuck what someone rates a movie.
Yeah, I mean,
even the shitty
because-
ones I just watch. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
it looks interesting. I'll watch.
because I always loved the movie anyway. See, my thing was like if I walked into a video store and I was in a mood, like we talked about this, if I was like in an Italian mood, like hey, I'm like we're doing now with this almost sort of. It reminds me of that. Like I'm in a phase. I'll go into the store and be like, I want to see a mafia movie tonight. I want to watch a De Niro movie tonight, and then you just grab one, you know, and it's like, oh shit, Goodfellas, you know, like that's kind of how it was. But wow, what an amazing movie! I mean, here we go. Goodfellas from Animaniacs was my first intro. When I finally saw Goodfellas, I appreciated it so much more. The cartoon Animaniacs, oh my goodness. What's up, Keys? Thanks for hopping on, guys. Thank you for hopping on. Yeah, but yeah, those are my intros. But anyway, the movie's Goodfellas. Wow, Sana and I were talking about this. Yeah, Sana and I were talking about this before the stream. It's just it kind of takes off where it starts in like the movie starts in 1970 and they're going down the road, and then there's obviously that thing where they open up a trunk and you don't know who it is and there's just gunshots fired. But then it goes back to the past, to 1955 Brooklyn, where Henry Hill's a kid, and it kind of talks about him growing up and how he gets involved with this whole thing and all that. And then it goes 15 years in the future to 1970, where he's an adult in this ring. Like, and then it goes even further into the future where it's like it kind of shows his progression for 10 years or 25 years throughout this whole organization, this syndicate, how he gets involved in what ends up happening in the movie. And if you guys have never seen Goodfellas before and don't know what it's about, I mean, it's pretty much like a really close look into the mafia.
What
Yeah.
rock have you been living under?
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Sean. Thank you. Whoop, whoop.
Yes. Yes. Ours too, obviously, right? But no, I mean every character in this. Here's the thing I want to say about Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese is one of my favorite directors ever. I mean, he really captures the spirit of the characters, and there's really strong character development in this stuff. Like, it's not a joke, and a lot of stuff he does is based on real shit, you know. Other movies he's done with De Niro, Raging Bull, that's based on a real life boxer, Jake LaMotta. It's based on a real person. It actually happened. The shit actually happens. Joe Pesci's in that too. The movie Casino that came after this is based on real stuff. I mean, the Irishman movie he did for Netflix is based on real shit, and it stars all these amazing legendary actors. Like, all of them are in this shit. So that's why some of these guys in this movie, like Pesci and De Niro in particular, and even Liotta to a certain extent, are some of my favorite actors ever. Just because they portray characters. Yeah, because of Scorsese, but because they also portray characters that are like real. You know.
Yeah. For me, also with Harvey Keitel, you know, like he is also part of that Scorsese. Who I also really love in his movies is his mom.
Yeah, Martin Scorsese's mom plays Tommy DeVito, Joe Pesci's character in this, his mother. And when you look at her, you can see the resemblance to Marty so much. It's like the glasses, and the hair. Like, yeah, it's definitely.
How she sometimes looks in the camera.
Yeah, she has the same eyes. Yeah, it's an excellent movie. It's an excellent film. So, I mean, what are some of your favorite characters, favorite scenes? What do you think of the movie? How does it relate to you? I mean, how does it compare to other films in this genre, other movies that are similar to it? I mean, where do you put it among, you know, mafioso, Cosa Nostra, gangster crime movies? Where do you put it, man?
Oh. Well, I think it's definitely in my top 5,
Yeah.
though I would not say with numbers, like what is the correct order.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they probably start with Godfather 1 and 2.
I
But
can't argue with that.
yeah, and I think then, well, fuck it then. I'll put that this one on number 3, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, with characters, I don't, well, all of them, of course, but the ones I really like, as I told you before the stream started, I really love Lorraine Bracco's character.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate her now more as an actress because I'm totally like on The Sopranos, fucking riding that dick hard at the moment. And yeah, fuck, to see her acting in that movie, she is part of one of my favorite scenes is where they go on like a double date and he stood her up. I really love that moment that she just like parks the car. She like slams the door and she's like, "You stood me up." I really love that scene. That's how she slowly like goes back like, "Oh, it's gonna cost you." I love that scene because that if I think of
Yeah.
that movie and Lorraine Bracco, that's probably the first scene I think of because it's like, oh, she's fucking ballsy and how everyone is like reacting and responding to it. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you want to do it let's do it that way. That's a good idea. Let's do it by actors and actresses and pick our favorite scenes. That's a good idea. I like that. That's cool. Because when I think of Lorraine Bracco, like you said, she plays Jennifer Melfi in The Sopranos. She plays Tony Soprano's psychiatrist.
Yeah, it's so
Actually,
cool.
in real life, she dated Harvey Keitel for like 7 or 8 years in real life. I don't know if you
Yeah,
knew that.
that daughter is in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. We mentioned Scorsese and how she's tied to that, and Keitel, and he had a close relationship with Harvey Keitel, and so did Quentin Tarantino later down the road. I mean, really cool. But the scene for me, my favorite scene. Well, actually, I don't even know how to. This is so hard. I'm going to list a couple, and we'll go back and forth. I'll do one, you do one, because I know you have another one probably with Lorraine in it. I'm sure.
Oh
But
yeah, and I think I have the feeling that you're going to say that one right now.
I probably will right now. I probably will. The scene that I love with Lorraine Bracco is when she has the gun pointed at Henry right at his face, and she's like, "Wake up, Henry."
Ooh,
That
yeah.
scene for me is so. It just encapsulates her character, and it really goes off of what you said in the first scene, the first slam on the door, like the energy she has and like her character development, because she's basically being like, "Wake up, Henry," because she knows at this point in the movie, Henry has like a girlfriend on the side that he's like singing and all this shit, and he knows. So like she puts the gun towards him, and you know what? Relating it back to The Godfather, it reminded me of the shit in The Godfather with Santino. Reminded me of the same kind of thing. Like Santino's this guy who has this girl on the side, and same thing with Henry.
Same thing with Tony Soprano.
Same thing with Tony. Exactly. And if you ever seen the movie Analyze This with De Niro, he has a girl on the side. And it's perfect. Like I love it. But that whole scene too. And then Henry's kind of like laying there. And I like how she's narrating it like in her head. Like Scorsese directs it in a really cool way where she's like, even though I knew he was cheating on me and all this stuff, I couldn't kill him. I couldn't hate him because I was still very, very much attracted to him, she says.
Yeah.
And it's just like him sitting there trying to like de-escalate her. So she puts the gun down and then he grabs it off of her and points at her head. And she's like, "How do you like it, Karen? How do you like it?" And it's like, holy shit, this movie's badass. But like, what about another scene from her that you love? I love that scene so much. That's one of my favorite scenes with her. And I have like one in my head right now, but you go ahead. You say yours.
The one that's kind of, it probably is almost her last scene with Robert De Niro when he tells her like, "Oh, you want like a Gucci dress?" "Oh yeah, sure." Like, "Yeah, maybe for my mom." He's like, "Oh, go over there." And you just, the way that she's acting in there, like you just feel the fucking anxiety. I was like, "Oh, you stupid bitch, don't do it. You fucking know it's a trap. Don't do it." And he was like, just go, like over there, over there. I was like, "Oh my God, don't be so fucking stupid." Like you really felt it, like, fuck.
Yeah. That was one of my scenes too that I picked out, but that was the one I had in my head. And I like that scene too. And I want to like, because she knows, she sees people back there, like in the alley that Jimmy tells her to go back. And she gets in the car.
He gave her a bit too much money, right?
Yeah. She gets in the car and she's like, "I gotta go. My mom's needs the kids or something, blah, blah." And she like peels out of the fucking parking spot, like, The scene after that, though, was the scene I was gonna say, where she pulls in on the driveway and Henry comes out like, "What the hell's the matter?" He has like a gun in his hand, and he's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "I was really scared. I was really, really scared." And that's the point in the movie where like Henry, if you guys never seen this movie, there's a point at the end where Karen, the character played by Lorraine Bracco, and Henry Hill, the character played by Ray Liotta, Henry goes to meet Paulie Cicero, and Karen goes to meet Jimmy Conway. Because what happens is right before this, there's like a drug thing going on. Henry gets busted for drugs or with drugs or whatever. So Karen flushes all this coke down the toilet. It's worth like 60 grand and it broke. So they're pretty much trying to get money off of Jimmy and trying to get money off of Paulie. Paulie gives Henry like $3,200 because he pretty much disowns him after that. Because he's like, I never wanted you to get involved with drugs. This is out of control. I told you to stay away from it. I disown you. This is the last you ever get from me, $3,200. But at the same time, Jimmy's involved with the drug running with Henry. So Jimmy's afraid that Henry's going to rat him out to Paulie to get him in trouble. So he's trying to like kill them. So like that's where she freaks out because like Sanne said, like Jimmy, she goes to meet Jimmy. Karen goes to meet Jimmy. And he's like, "Oh yeah, go down the alley. I got something for you. Go back behind the alley and blah 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 blah." And like she knows, like in her head, she's like, "He's gonna fucking kill me. I'm going." She peels out. And then the scene after that, when Henry meets Jimmy at the bar, he tries to send him to Florida on that job to kill somebody. And the line I love that Henry Hill's character says, he's like, Ray Liotta, he's like, "I knew that if I went down to Florida, he's like, I wouldn't be coming back." Like, you knew that this guy that he was sending Henry Hill's character down to Florida with was going to kill Henry to tie up all the loose
also that he says, like, even when they're going to kill you, they will still greet you as your best friend with a smile on the face.
Absolutely.
It's a classic thing. You see it happening in so many movies. It's like, "Hey, how are you doing? Bye, see you."
Same thing with Tommy DeVito. That he goes to talk to his mom. He's all dressed up in a suit. He's like, "How do I look, Ma?" She comes up, like, "You look beautiful." He goes out. The black caddy's out there waiting for him. He goes and greets the guys. They kiss him on the face, bring him in the car. They're having a conversation. They walk into the room, and that's it. Any other scenes from her character that you think like really stick out in the movie? Like, what do you think from Karen's character?
Oh, the one that just pops in my head was when she's at her parents' house and he hasn't showed up yet, and the mother starts to like interfere with her, like, "Oh, you're married. How dare you showing up late?" And then they both walk to the front door, and the mother really starts screaming at him, like, "Why have you done that?" That she really like the agony, like how she screams, "Mom!" Like that's really how you would scream to your mom, like, "Shut up!" It's so perfectly done. Shit, I never realized how I would love Lorraine Bracco as an actress, because as I said before, like I knew her from Hackers and even Cowgirls Get the Blues and all that stuff, and I was like, because she's kind of like as if she was like on drugs in Hackers, and that's kind of like the image that you keep remembering. And then as a Sopranos, like, oh yeah, but she's a psychiatrist, so she's supposed to not really show that much emotions. But then with this, she just goes all out. I'm like, damn, she's fucking good.
Well, I think she said before she was actually they wanted to originally cast her as Tony's wife, but she turned the part down because she wanted to try something different, and that's why she took the Jennifer Melfi role instead of Carmela Soprano. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. But here's another scene. I'm going to bring up Louis' thing here. He said, like Tony Soprano says, "My wife kisses my kids with that mouth," in reference to the girlfriend thing. That's also to analyze this. Robert De Niro says the exact same line in that movie. But here's the thing I want to bring up, in like kind of opposition to that, the scene with Lorraine Bracco's character, because I love this scene so much, because for me, it shows me that she starts to appreciate this life, because there's a segment where she's talking about how like initially she was kind of upset that these guys were mafia guys, and she knew that. Like she starts to understand like what the life's about. She goes to these parties and stuff with Mickey Conway, Jimmy's wife, and she has all these people over and all this stuff. But there's a scene where she starts to ask him for money to go shopping. Like she asked Henry for like money, and he goes, "How much do you need?" And she's like, "That much," like a stack of cash that big. So he's giving her the money. He's like, "I gotta go. I got a meeting. I gotta get out of here. I gotta leave." And all of a sudden, after he gives her the money, she starts kissing him, and then she's like getting ready to fucking go down on him. He's like, "Oh, okay, I got time for that," So like that scene for me was really impactful because it was kind of like she's accepted it now. She knows that if she asks Henry for money, she'll get it. She can go buy whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants. And the funny thing is about it is, even though she knows that he's sleeping with other women, she knows that. But like, even when she has that gun pulled, like I said, to relate it back to the first thing that we talked about, she has this personality where she's really fiery and really independent, but almost to a certain extent where like she can't be that way with Henry because she knows like she still loves this guy because he's involved in so much evil shit. It's like a bad boy crush thing. Like, oh, I love the bad boy. He's so bad. You know?
But also because, she has all the luxury right now, right?
Exactly.
And she has 2 kids, and that's not going to work out because there is this one like scene where you see that, the 2 beds of the kids are there, and there's also the 2 persons bed, like everything is in the same room. So she knows that as soon as she's out, but eventually she does divorce him, and that's what I like, because you see the same thing back in, of course, here it is, The Sopranos and The Godfather, that the woman always decides to divorce. And in The Sopranos, Lorraine Bracco's character says, like, your wife would divorce you, but you would never leave her. And I was like, God damn, you see it's constantly like coming back in all these movies.
Well, here's my theory with that, and I think it attributes. You're right, because I was going to bring that up. It's in The Godfather Part 3. It's in The Sopranos. It's in this movie. I think what happens is the women finally realize like these guys are not powerful anymore because they're losing their power, their control, their status, so to speak. Like it happens in this because Henry's in so much shit now, he can get killed. So he's worried. He's not going to go do anything. So she sees him as like this. When they go into witness protection or whatever at the end of the movie, she sees him as just a regular guy now. That's all right. He's a regular guy now. He doesn't have the power and the status anymore. So she has to live kind of like a slave in this WITSEC program while he doesn't have, she's not doing the luxury stuff anymore. Same thing with Sopranos. Same thing with Godfather Part 3. He's done. He goes and does all this philanthropy work. Can't say it. But same thing, right?
Ooh, I just think of that one scene where, okay, this is not related to the Goodfellas. Of course, obviously, it wouldn't be our street if it was, but like, with The Godfather 2, when this Talia, her character, I forgot her name, the sister of Michael.
Connie.
Yeah, when she actually invites the mother over a bunch of times. I also forgot her name. K. God, we should rewatch that movie, I guess. And that he just walks in and he just stands there and in like the back door, and he just like looks at her stone cold and just throws the door like, you shouldn't be here, when she comes visit the kid. I fucking love that scene. Oh, fuck.
Amazing.
Sorry.
Very cool. When he handed her the gun, she had to admit she was turned on. She does say that. She does say that. She does.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. But yeah, I mean,
because the other gun wasn't impressive.
Yeah.
What?
The thing that's so great too, like the thing I love about this movie is, and I said this kind of towards the beginning, is like it's based on real life. Like this shit is actually real. I mean, Henry Hill, his name is kept the same, and that's the name of the actual guy in real life. But all the other characters' names were changed for the sake of, I guess, I don't know, for whatever reason. But De Niro's character, Jimmy Conway, his real name was Jimmy Burke. Tommy DeVito, Joe Pesci's character's real name is Tommy DeSimone. Paulie Cicero, his name in real life was I think Paulie Valeo or something like that. Paulie Valeo or something like that. So these guys were like real people. Like they were actually real. Yeah. So, and that whole thing too, at the end where De Niro's character starts killing all the people after the Lufthansa heist is real. Like he actually did do that. Like that actually happened. Jimmy Conway or Jimmy Burke in real life after the Lufthansa heist, it's actually a real heist. There's like other documentaries and shows based on it. They stole almost $6 million worth of shit and like money and jewels from JFK airport. So like it's really interesting shit if you guys are into that stuff. And it's funny too because down the
I am.
road, it's funny too down the road because De Niro and Pacino were in a movie called Heat, and I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie, but it's about heists and robberies and all that crazy shit. And it takes place. There's a scene at the end in an airport. It's really cool. It reminds me of this movie. It's so cool. So all
Chino in the one restaurant scene where he just flips it. Also,
it's a great movie. I love that movie. Michael Mann directed that one. It's amazing. Natalie Portman's in that too. Really good movie.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Val's in it. Yep. Good flick. Really good flick. I love that as a kid too. It's one of my favorite movies. I used to sit there in an amazing movie. But yeah, in relation to all this stuff is tied together, you know. Even we talked about The Godfather in this stream, and it's real because we mentioned in the Godfather stream, like the Corleone family is based off the Genovese and the Bonanno crime families, and actually, these characters in this movie worked for a capo of the Lucchese crime family, the Paulie character, Paulie Cicero. He was a capo of a captain in the Lucchese crime family in this section of the city, and they actually did work for him. Like it's real shit, you know. But what about scenes with Paulie? Let's do his character next. Any scenes come to mind with Paulie's character that you love, like that stick out to you? Paulie Cicero.
I like, for example, just shows how they kind of do that thing, right? They just sit there relaxed. It's like, oh, you want money? Then convince me why you need money. Or you want me to be your partner? Then convince me why you want me to be your partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that, where that one guy asks him to be part of the restaurant and the club. And he was like, oh, I don't know shit about restaurants. And he asked the character of Ray Liotta, like, do you know anything? And then how it basically is explained. Like, anything that will happen from now on, all the bills will go to...
Oh my God. That was a great...
It was like every month or every week. It don't matter if you had a fire, if you had this, if you had that, if it was a holiday, whatever, you were close. You're still gonna have to pay the fucking boss. And I was like, what? You know, like it just really just shows how it is. Like, sure, we'll help you. But that's just how they keep on going. I mean, in a way, it's fucking smart, of course. It's like going to a bank, asking for a loan, you know, like everything, it comes with interest. And
oh, yeah.
If you don't pay on time.
Yeah. Some of my favorite scenes of Paulie didn't even have him in it. They were just talking about his role. And I thought that was really cool. Like you just mentioned all that stuff. Like that's a really good point because the one thing that... No, go ahead. Go ahead. Then I'll go ahead.
And the one scene that actually I think you mentioned like yesterday or earlier this week where we were like fucking going crazy about fucking food, and you were like, oh, I like how he likes like cutting the garlic.
Oh, yeah. It's a good scene.
But
don't put too much onions in the sauce, huh? He's like, how many cans you use? 2 cans. He's like, I use 2 cans of sauce. He's like, why don't you put 3 whole onions in there? It's too much. It's great. But actually, the scenes that I love about him are the ones where he doesn't even really say anything. I like the part where Henry's narrating at the beginning, like when he first gets involved, and Henry kind of works under Paulie with his brother Tootie. Remember that? Like Tootie, his brother. And then Henry's narrating it like in the future, but he's looking back on the past, and it's kind of like showing you how he grew up in this thing. And when he says like Paulie never liked to talk on phones, he didn't like to talk to people, he didn't like to have conferences, he would have one guy come and convey messages to him. And the one scene I love is when he's sitting there and Tootie comes over and starts whispering stuff to him, and he's like shaking his head, and he doesn't even say anything. He just does, you know, he tells him what to do, and that's it. It kind of reminds me of Don Vito from The Godfather. Don Vito.
Yeah, but Gambino was like that. He was, he's not the silent type. Like, he would never say to you yes or no. He would just like,
yeah, awesome. I mean, that's so cool though, like, because it's all relatable. And I love how the characters all kind of have that same concept. Like even Jimmy at the end when he's talking to Henry, he's like, didn't I tell you not to talk on the phone? Didn't I say that? He has his glasses on. He's like looking at him. He's like, didn't I tell you not to talk on the phone? You know, like that scene's really cool. Like the less communication you have, the better. Like, but you see like people like running around the city just to get in contact with Paulie because they can't call him because he doesn't use phones. He doesn't have a phone in his house. They say that in the movie. So you have these people just showing up, and some of the scenes with him are really cool. Like that one was a really good one. The garlic one that you mentioned when they were in jail was a really cool one. And the one scene I really like too, it's not my favorite scene, but it's really powerful with him in it, is when Henry comes asking for money after they flush the coke.
Oh, yeah.
And he gives him the 3,200 and he's like, that's it. He's like, I'm done with you. Like, you've been with me. He's basically saying, like, you've been with me for 25 years. He's like, and I told you not to do something. You did it. He's like, I'm not going to kill you because you're like a son to me. You had a warning. He's like, you're on your own. See you later. You're out. That's pretty much it. And it's funny that we mentioned like the stuff with Lorraine Bracco and stuff because he had all this money when he was in the organization. But as soon as he starts doing shit on his own with Jimmy and all the other guys and doing the drug stuff, as soon as she flushes that, he's done. Like he has nothing. He has nothing to do anymore. Like he was just so used to the lavish and luxurious life and getting whatever the hell he wanted. He says it in the movie. He's like, we were rock stars. We didn't pay for anything. He's like, we didn't ask for anything. We just fucking took it. He can't do that anymore. He can't do it anymore.
Which reminds me of Lorraine Bracco when the cops show up of the FBI, when she's like in panic, just like as a good wife, I guess, in that situation with like flushing the heroin or the cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also like thinking because you do still see it in this, like I don't know if it's still there in America, at least not here, like payphones and shit. I'm just like, the amount of fucking prepaid cards they must be wasting nowadays, to make these contacts, these phone calls. Back then they would just like go to a payphone, be like, yo, the heat is on.
Yeah.
The mom and he spies, you meet the ball. And now it's like, it's breaking the card, trash. Next card. It's quite a business.
Yeah.
We should start a prepaid business.
We should. Look at this here. Remember this part? It's when they go to Paulie sends Jimmy and Henry down to Florida to get that money off of that guy, and they beat the shit out of him in the car, and his face is all bloodied. And then Lou, yeah, they go and they take him to they were gonna feed him to the lion. Remember that part? Then he called, yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, they mean business. They're the real deal. And then they find out like his sister or something was like a typist for the FBI, and she like rats her brother out and like them out, and that's when Henry goes to jail or whatever for the first time. And then
also when she like really when Lorraine Bracco sees all the products in, like she is just like how probably any of us would react, or maybe it's us bitches, but it's not even overreacting, like she sees that the other cheating bitch ass motherfucking hoe has already visited him in jail. And she's the one who has to like bring the kids, to keep up the image. Like, oh, we're the happy family. We're here. You have all the things that I sneaked in.
That was a great
scene.
She
is so good.
It was. She's like, hey, here's a prosciutto. Here's your fucking meat. Here's your Coke. Like, pulls out the fucking thing. Is it Johnny 2 times or is it Jimmy 2 times? Get the papers. I forget who it is. I think it was Jimmy. I thought it was Jimmy 2 times. Maybe it was Johnny. I can't remember.
I'm just like, welcome to the Lorraine Bracco stream.
Yeah. No, but that scene's really cool too, because I like how the security guard, like up on the thing overlooking the prison, kind of like turns a blind eye. He's like, he doesn't see the coke coming out of her thing.
Yeah.
And Henry's like doing the pills out in jail, and he like slips a guy 100 in his coat pocket. He's like, hey, have a good weekend. He's like, hey, you too, Henry.
Because they own the place, It's just
exactly
how powerful they are. Like they also like in the beginning when he takes her out for dinner, how he just like sneaks like in the middle, like everyone is waiting in line, and he just goes through it, and then via the kitchen and all this stuff, and right away there's a queue waiting. It's like, oh, grab a table, oh, come this way.
Yeah, he says that. He says that in the movie. He's like, we didn't have to wait in line. He's like, I just jumped automatically to the front of the line as soon as I showed my face in there because I knew I was with these guys. Like, I knew I was part of this crew. Like, that whole thing was amazing. And
the fastest pizza you will get. So every lady out there, just go date
Yeah.
I just want pizza. Okay, let's go.
I know that Ray Liotta is the main character in here, but he's not my favorite. Let's save the best for last. I think you know what I'm talking about. Let's do Henry next. Favorite scenes. I know we kind of talked about him a little bit because obviously Lorraine Bracco's character is his wife, and that's Karen. But favorite scenes with Ray Liotta's character, Henry Hill. It could be the narration. It could be the beginning of the movie. It could be anything. What are some of your favorite scenes with Henry's character?
Well, he is going to be also now named, and probably the seed will return later on. But when he becomes very insecure, and he's being said, "What's so funny?" and he's like, "Oh, you're a funny guy. Why am I a funny guy?"
Oh yeah, that's a good scene.
But then finally, when he grows so fucking balls and then just dares to like make a joke out of it, and then he really starts like hitting him. But I also like the scenes where where he's really like drugged out. Like you can really see how fucked up he is, and that
Yeah,
also is acting. like
absolutely.
like before, I always kind of like saw him as like a wimpy actor, like what's his name? Fuck it. Like from like Luke and Leia, like I think the actor that plays Luke is a fucking
Mark
wimp.
Hamill. Mark
Yeah,
Hamill.
at least like in the Star Wars movie, I think that character is such a wimp because fuck that shit. But hi, Star. uh, but yeah, he kind of reminds you like as a person like that, like that whiny Hollywood star that once had like a good movie or two and then kind of became washed up. Like that's how I saw him at first, but now I looked at it differently and I was like, yeah, actually he had some good guidance in this movie. Let's put it that way.
Hey, let me
Because the
let me
movies
hit you
that
with
I
some
said.
knowledge. Let me hit you with some knowledge about Ray Liotta. I don't know if you know this or not, because I know you just said this stuff, but listen. Did you know that he voiced Tommy Vercetti in Vice City? It was actually Ray Liotta who voiced Tommy Vercetti. Did you know that?
I love Ray Liotta.
There you go. He voiced Tommy Vercetti in the Vice City video game, Grand Theft Auto.
eh,
Now you love him. I knew. I was waiting to say that. I was hoping you didn't know. You didn't know. Yes. Ray, baby.
shit. Okay. Well, but you don't really see him acting, so that's another thing. And I think in this movie, that's also the strong thing of Martin Scorsese. Like he really will bring out the best
He does.
in
Absolutely.
in out or whatever yeah,
Bring the
that
best
thing.
out of the actor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. That's a good scene. I love what you said about that, like with his character. Those two scenes. Really, like you said at the end when he's all drugged up, like he's like sweating and helicopters and shit are flying around. He's like all
Yeah, but
paranoid.
also when he goes against the boss we were just talking about, that you really see kind of emotions in his eyes, but he's full of shit. He's lying, like
Yeah,
he's not
yeah,
clean. But the way that he does it, it's like yeah, it's very convincing. I would tell him too, like okay, fuck off.
yeah. I think that's cool too, though, because it really shows his transition from. I know how you called him a wimp, and at the beginning of the movie, he's not a wimp, but he's kind of like not as advanced or into the life as like Jimmy and Tommy would become, right? So like,
No, I mean as an actor in general.
yeah, I
I
know.
mean in this
I'm comparing it to the movie because it's a good
mm,
like encapsulation of him, even as an actor, sort of. Because um, the one scene that I love with him too is when he has this chip on his shoulder when he first meets Karen's character, and her like neighbor across the street like lays hands on her. He goes with the gun and beats the shit out of the guy. You ever fucking touch her again, I'll fucking kill you. Then he points the gun to his buddy there outside. Remember with the Corvette, like the red Corvette? He's like, "What?" He's like, "Nothing, man." And he walks away. And it's cool how he kind of like digresses. He sort of loses that character throughout the movie. Like I feel like that part and a couple scenes after that, he was like at an all-time high. Like he was just all-time high. And then you can see how mentally it starts to affect his character. Like
mm.
when Tommy goes into the bar and they do that, we'll talk about this later, but that scene with the guy, you can see like Ray Liotta's character and the way he acts it, and Henry's character just like pretty much being like, shit, this really what I signed up for? Never really killed anybody before. Like it's kind of like that's when he starts to like spiral, I think. And then after the course of 10 years, he kind of just like realizes like, hey, look, they're gonna kill me, so I'm out of here.
Wait, I totally forgot.
What's
The
up?
guy, the boss, I forgot his name. When he
Oh,
goes to, when he goes to Henry's character and he starts to confront him, like Karen came and see us. I think that's also like pretty cool. Like, hey, we don't care what you do, but after this, you go home to your wife
Yeah.
and you leave this behind. I like that too. Like just the calm and collected stuff, because that's also a thing. Like they will tell you like no matter the fucking problems, like yeah, but it's your guy's marriage, so you do whatever the fuck you want. Like even with in Sopranos, for example, was it Paulie's character? Yeah, Paulie's character when he sees my God, I forgot his name. He's also in this movie, the cousin of Tony.
Christopher and Soprano Spider in this
Yeah,
movie.
Christopher. Yeah, when he visits some hookers and he's like, "Oh, you're not even married and you're already visiting them." Like it's kind of like acceptable when you're married. Then it's like, okay, you have the perfect picture. And other than that, you can just do whatever the fuck you want.
No, that's a good point because that kind of ties into The Godfather when it talks about family. Like, family is the most important thing. Like, you can do this as long as it doesn't start affecting your family. When it starts affecting your family and shit starts blowing out of control, then you got to always come back to the family. That's the whole point.
Mm.
You know, like La Familia. Like, it's throughout The Godfather, it's throughout this, it's throughout every mobster movie you're ever gonna see. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Tommy DeVito begging them to stop hitting his brother broke me.
What scene is that?
Yeah, I don't remember that. I'm trying to think. Oh, wait. Maybe it was the one they were talking about with Tommy just beating the shit out of people. Billy, maybe. Because Tommy kills a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
Keys was talking about Liotta. No way he voiced Tommy. Yeah. Vice City.
Yeah. I
He
hope
says,
that will be a remake.
I do too. It was a great game.
Or maybe as the follow-up of what was it, GTA 5?
Yeah.
I think there were rumors going around that they actually want to take it back to Vice City. I really hope so.
Amazing. That's my favorite game in the series by far.
Oh, yes.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Jeffarella! Woo-hoo. What's up in the butt?
Everybody's chatting. Cool beans. Hey, guys, but we appreciate you hopping on, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, Ray Liotta, amazing actor, and the stuff you mentioned with, even like Christopher and stuff in The Sopranos and how that kind of like ties in and the whole idea of the family, that's really important. I mean, I can't stress that enough either. I mean, that's a really good point that, that you said that because it's incredible. And the thing that's so great about it too is, like you said, especially even like Karen, Lorraine Bracco's character. Like we talked about this already, but it's so cool because her family meant everything. Doesn't matter. Here's another reason, like you said, she divorced him in 1989. Why do you think she divorced him in 1989? Because at that point, the kids are probably grown up. She doesn't need to raise her kids anymore. She's done. Same thing with Pacino and Godfather Part 3. Same thing with Soprano, pretty much. It's the same concept, and it's through all that stuff. But it makes perfect sense because it's real life. This shit actually happened. Like that stuff happened. Like Karen and Henry divorced in real life. They were married for 25 years and divorced. It's crazy.
I also like that scene where he picks her up for the first time at the house, and he's like, his shirt is a bit low. She's like, "Oh, you have to hide the cross," and the mother's like, "Oh, I heard you were Jewish or half Jewish. Yeah, only the good side." So it's like,
he's like, "Only the good half." Yeah,
the good half.
That's a great scene. The movie's amazing. I mean, it really is an amazing movie. Again, and I said this on the Godfather stream too, like as an Italian American, the stuff they do with the food, like Henry buying that bar that he ends up having, and them cooking stuff in jail. And even at the end, after he's drugged up, he picks up his brother from the hospital and he's trying to make like, food. Like it's just, it's awesome. I mean, and it's always there. They're always in restaurants. They're always sitting and eating somewhere. They're always at a bar. Like it's throughout the whole thing. It reminds me of myself and like my childhood and even as an adult, that's what I did, Same kind of thing. It was always like, and family was the most important thing. Like,
well, not anymore.
Well, it is. I mean, it is. I'm talking about the movie. Like in that movie, family was the most important thing. But that's what I mean. It still is. Like family is the most important thing, right?
Mm. So, if your mom was watching this, your phone would be ringing right now. What do you mean was?
Yeah. It's always the most important thing. I mean, my dad actually, my parent, both of them. Hey, hey, we're over here sitting.
Yes, because of the ravioli.
Oh, I can't wait for that. It's gonna be great.
Food. But
Yeah,
I
but
also what I find interesting also is the sorry for interrupting you once
no,
again. Like
good.
always, I'm so
No, you're
lucky
good.
that you would fucking kick my ass. But the Italian American
Mhm.
Americanization of Italian expression and words, because I'm like I hear it a lot in a few times in this movie and a lot in The Sopranos, like sta zit. I'm like, stai zitto? Is that what you're trying to say? Like, I don't get it. So I really had to like fucking look it up. Like, what the fuck are they saying? But yeah, they say something like sta zit, like shut up, like, but it should be
Yeah,
stai zitto, stai zitta, or Sicilian mutu muta. But you know, you have like so many different, like, oh, like even I think you said it like when you like yesterday, I think maybe when you were in New York, that they were like, hey, paisan or something like that. I'm like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's cool because I think it's neat, and that's a good point too. Because all these guys coming over here and creating these 5 different families and all this stuff, because obviously most of them are from Sicily, like originally, right? And they grow up with the roots, and it's kind of what their family spoke, like what their family said. So you're kind of getting like this. Because here's the thing, like I told you before, my great grandmother spoke broken English. She'd always call me Giuseppe. She couldn't even barely speak English.
mm,
Like my grandmother learned pretty much like Italian and stuff from her, and like some of the stuff was broken, so it was like an Americanized version of what she said. And I told you before, my family's from Candida, which is in the southern region of Italy, like near Sicily. So like, who knows how bad my grandma botched it? But my dad and my aunts and uncles learned my grandma's version, and then I learned stuff like a little bit from my aunts and uncles and my dad. So like, it's pretty much a diluted form. Obviously, it's not the original stuff, right?
yeah,
So
but
that's
also
where that comes.
just the way that they pronounce things, like Italian things, like it's really their version, but you hear so many people say it, so it really has become like a whole different like what accent or dialect almost like
Oh
in
yeah, it is. That's what
in
it is. You're
America
right.
rather than what it really is.
Well, here's the thing. When I
Especially
study,
when
here's
you
what.
pronounce the last names, I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh,
Put some fucking effort in.
yeah. Even Scorsese's name, I think when he came over, like his mother, his grandparents came over, like his last name actually had Z's in it, and they transcribed it wrong because they thought that she said it was like Scorsese or something like that, and they thought that she said Scorsese, so that's how they wrote it, and that's what his name actually became when they came over.
Mm.
It's kind of neat. Same thing with my grandparents and my great grandparents. Like my last name's Labriola, but we came from a place like Alabriola, so like it was actually ALA, and then they dropped the A. Because I can just picture that. Like, I could picture my great grandma coming over here saying, like, what's your name? She's like, Labriola. Labriola. And they're probably like, Labriola? She probably said Al
Really?
Labriola. Probably said Al Labriola, but they dropped the A. So, like, but it's funny because when I was studying Greek in college, you talked about the dialect thing. There were so many different dialects of that. There was Attic, there was like Homeric, and then eventually
Calimera.
they made a common one where they combined all the dialects together called Koine. And I remember trying to study Koine because I studied like Attic for a really long time and Homeric for a really long time. I went to Koine and I was like, what the hell is this? Because it was like a mixture of like so many different dialects. Like there was Macedonian even mixed in with it. I was like, this is crazy.
And the same applies, of course, to like all the Italians that came over, because you do hear a lot of like southern twist into the words. But like for example, in Sicily, they have so many different accents going on that one from Catania will not understand someone from Palermo. So let alone someone talking Palermitano would go to Napoli or Naples, they wouldn't really understand each other because everyone has like a different type of vibe going on. Like it isn't like the Stan and I Tuscany version. Like
Uh-huh.
buongiorno. No. Like I told you yesterday, like buongiorno.
Well, I think that's kind of cool too, though, because in a way, yeah, it's hard to understand over here, but at the same time, it kind of unifies people because they can all speak a common thing because the slang. You know, it's slang. It's like if you understand the basics of the dialect where you're from, you can kind of understand what these people are trying to say. You know, it's kind of neat when you sit down and actually think about it. You know. Ah, that's right. I was gonna say I was thinking in my head you were thinking about Casino, but I wasn't sure. But that's the scene where they're digging a grave for Nicky Santoro and his brother in Casino, and Nicky's face is all swollen up because they beat the shit out of him, and then they kill his brother.
It's
They
been a
beat him.
while since I've seen it,
Yeah,
so
they shoot his brother like in the back of the head, and he falls into the ditch. And then they shoot Tommy, and he falls on top of his. Or they shoot Nicky Santoro, and he falls on top of his brother in the grave, and they bury him out in the desert. Yeah, that's a great movie too. We might have to do that soon because that's a good fucking movie.
Can we also like a quick mention of the Queen of Italia, Mina, the song?
You tell me, because I didn't even know until today you brought it up. So
yeah, Il cielo una stanza. It's like, you hear that song like somewhere in the beginning. You're like, quando sei. I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot she said that movie. Well, at least the song, so I got really excited. And I had to show you. I had to send you right away like the original. I was like, oh, the Queen.
She has an amazing voice. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, she's definitely the one that, as I once told you before, like, you know, I'm gonna do your grandparents or your great grandparents some pride by introducing you to some fucking classic Italian fucking songs. And she's definitely one of the, like, I already sent you a few songs of her, but you have like Ariana Celentano and yes.
I'm sure they listen to that. I'm sure they love it. I probably listened to it as a kid. I probably just don't remember.
Probably. Storia di amore. 4.000 baci.
So you got all these artists name dropping. Leo says it's a beautiful song. Louis, I said Leo. Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm thinking Scorsese. Louis says it's a beautiful song.
Luigi.
No, but okay. We talked about Henry Hill. Is there any other scenes with Henry? Do you think the gun
thing?
Yeah,
we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about Goodfellas. Another scene that I love with him is is the scene where he's sitting in the thing after the Billy Bats things happen in the house with Tommy, and he just doesn't say anything. And I like his line there because he's like, "How come you don't talk? How come you don't talk anymore?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just listening." Like I said, it was like he just was so terrified of this whole thing. Like that for me, I felt like that was a turning point where he was just like, "Holy shit, what's gonna happen to me in the future?" But he couldn't get out of it. Yeah. Because he was with these guys his whole life. Because at the beginning of the movie, he meets Jimmy Conway, and Tommy's just a little kid, and they kind of grow up together. And then Henry gets pinched, and he doesn't rat anybody out. So then, remember, they come back because he thought they were going to be pissed. They all thought that they were going to be pissed at him for getting pinched with the cigarette stuff, like robbing the cigarette stuff and selling it to police and all this kind of stuff. And then the cops pinch him, and he's like, "I thought you'd be mad, Jimmy." He's like, "No, you took it like a man. You took your first pinch like a man." And he goes back into the room, and like the door opens to Paulie's place, and like all of them come down, like, "Henry, you took it like a man." And at that point, he becomes the like one of the enforcers for Paulie's stuff. But then it's funny how the reverse happened when he's sitting with Tommy, and it's like he just doesn't say anything. He went from being like this on top of the world, like he says in the beginning of the movie, like we did whatever the hell we wanted, we had whatever we want, we didn't have to work for anything. And Louis said at the beginning of the stream, like, for as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And then he finally becomes a gangster, and he's loving it at first until shit starts to go bad. And that's when, for me, I feel like when Henry Hill started to see people getting killed in front of his eyes and he was taking part in it and actually participating in it, he was like, "Oh, shit. I don't know if I can do this." Because even when...
Sorry.
No.
I'll remember it. Don't worry.
Let me say one more thing, then you can go ahead. Even when the thing with Billy happens, Billy Bats, and they're digging up the body because they bury it in this complex and they get sold and they're like going to build stuff on it and they have to go back up and move the body. Joe Pesci's character, Tommy DeVito, and De Niro's character, Jimmy Conway, don't even say a fucking thing. They're laughing about it. They think it's funny. And Henry's sitting there like, like trying to hold his vomit in.
There's an arm.
He's like, "Yeah, a wing. I got a wing." It's just the contrast between those three characters is so stark and it's so different. I mean, like, obviously Tommy is the worst. I mean, he's the worst. But Jimmy's up there too. I mean, Jimmy's just as bad as Tommy. He's just not as sadistic. Like, Jimmy's more cunning. Jimmy's more smart. Like, but Tommy's just like enraged, power, all that kind of stuff. And then you have Henry, who's kind of like more conservative, But then when it starts into the real heavy shit, it's like, you know. So I thought it was really cool. That was a really cool scene with him too. Those couple
Sorry, I
scenes.
think I keep hearing shit.
That's all right.
Hmm.
Any other scenes with Henry you can think of? What do you think?
The beginning with, as they explain that the mother is Sicilian, and when young Henry shows up with the three-piece suit, that's when Sicilian moms always knew enough. Like, no matter
I love
the
it.
era, whatever, the son would show up with polished shoes, the polish box. But yeah, that's
Coming up. Yeah, she's like, you look like a gangster. And it was funny, the scene too, where his dad's beating him with the belt, and he has a black eye. He's like, "My dad's gonna kill me." And then they get the bellman, and they're like, "Don't you deliver another letter to that house, or we're gonna kill you." That was great.
that the mother would complaining because they didn't receive mail.
Yeah, she had to go to the post office and get it. She had to go to the post office and get the letters. That was great. Yeah, because like he didn't deliver anything to the house from that point on. Nothing. Great scene. Great
I
scene.
wish I had friends like that.
Yeah.
Especially for situation.
It'll work out.
That's him.
That's him right there. Don't you deliver another fucking letter? Oh my goodness. So good. What about the whole movie is amazing. I mean, the whole movie from beginning to end is amazing. Like the contrast with Godfather's, like how Godfather starts out kind of slower in the beginning, and then after the wedding, it goes like full speed ahead. This is like from the beginning. It's like the very beginning scene is them like pretty much killing the guy, and it's just like, I mean, it's dead. Even the way they
also because mafia movies were already like a thing then. So exactly, like Godfather was really just like the introduction, like the first banger.
Yeah, had to You're right. You're right. No, I agree. I mean, I love those movies. I'm just saying I like to contrast it.
Yeah. I mean, after that, they could pretty much do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. But it's very similar to that, too. I mean, we talked about so many similarities already throughout the movie, of how it's related to that and compared to that. And I think it's funny that, if you look at The Godfather and the first two movies, and then you kind of look at this, it's almost like it's all happening at the same time. It feels like it's connected. It really does feel like it's connected because this is the Lucchese crime family in this. And like I said, it is the Genovese and Bonanno based on that crime family in that movie. And it feels like, yeah, Michael Corleone's character and Vito Corleone's character is like 1945, 1955. And then Henry, like I said, is 1955. His life as a kid is 1970. So it's almost like all this shit is actually happening at the same time, sort of. Like it's all going down at the same time. It's in the same universe. It's in New York. It's in Brooklyn. It's in the same. I mean, Little Italy is in those movies. Little Italy is in this movie. Like it's in the movie. It's the same place. It's really neat.
And as I said, like the small second with the Michael Francese, he is a real-timer.
Yeah, it's amazing. What about let's move on from Henry because there's so many scenes because he's the main character. I mean, the whole movie with him, the dialogue he talks about Ray Liotta, like you said, with at the end when he has insomnia and he can't sleep and he's freaking out and he almost wrecks his car and there's airplanes flying around. I mean, it's nuts. Really good acting there, but it's kind of cool to see him be like at the high peak where he's like, I'm a gangster, I can do whatever the hell I want, beating a guy with a pistol, to all of a sudden pretty much sweating his balls off and he has bags under his eyes and he's like pretty much broken at this point in time and he knows he's going to get killed like at that point. What about Jimmy Conway's character, De Niro? What about some scenes with him that you liked a lot?
Oh, I actually really liked that one scene where they did the big heist and they're all meeting because I think it's like Christmas and the first guy showing like the pink Cadillac that he got for his wife. He's like, what did I tell you? And then the other guy comes in, with the big fur coat for his wife. Well, what did I tell you? And it just really shows the power that he has, but also because he has the money that they actually do leave. But then later on to see the couple from the pink Cadillac actually like just once again the whole cleaning thing that happens Which movie says that, or which series? Like every 10 years, there's always this big cleaning with so many.
That was in The Godfather. That's in the scene where the one capo for Don Vito is talking to Michael, and he says wars like this happen every 10 years, then gets sorted out and it's done.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah, yeah. But that's an amazing scene too, and I love that scene where he's like just another scene. One of the scenes that I love in the movie with De Niro, and it might be my favorite scene. I don't know. There's something I fucking love De Niro. He's my favorite actor. But that scene where Maury keeps begging him for the money, he's like, "Give me the money, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money," and it just pans like the way Scorsese shoots it. It just pans to De Niro just like sitting there smoking a cigar, like he's ready to kill this guy. He's just like, and he's just like blowing it, like. He doesn't even say anything. I'm just like, look at that. I'm like, that guy's a badass, and it fucking Maury is fucking dead. Like you just know, like watching it, you're like, he's dead.
Yeah, and then like, let's skip this evening or something like that. Like,
exactly.
Let's undo it tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. What about other scenes with Jimmy Conway's character?
Well, I like the way that they introduced him. That he's like, yeah, he gives like $100 to the bouncer. He gives $100 to that person, and always like $100. So I was kind of like, but why does he only give $20 to Henry's character?
Because he's just new.
Yeah, but even like others, I guess, like the waiter and stuff like that, whatever. I was just like, it's interesting, because usually if you really want to like be impressive, you would give like 100.
I think for me, like if I'm understanding this right, I think the reason he did that was because he at that point in time, I don't think Jimmy Conway was killing kids. I don't even think he killed any kids ever. I don't think he would. I think he's giving the other people hundreds because he wants to earn their respect. With Henry, he doesn't need to earn his respect because he's already better than Henry. If that makes any sense, like he's already better than. He doesn't need to give him $100 because he's better than him. Like he's the head honcho. But he sees a kid and he gives him something anyway because he's like, "Hey man, how are you? Maybe you can." In his head, he's probably thinking, "Maybe he can help me later. Maybe down there." And he does. I mean, he ends up doing it. He ends up working with him.
Yeah.
He gives him money. So that's why I think he did it. But yeah, like you said, $100 to keep the ice cold for the drinks, $100 for stuff coming, $100 for the bellhop. I mean, it's
keeping the ice cold.
Yeah, I mean that's a line in the movie. He's like, for keeping the ice cold, like here's $100. Yeah. It's great. It's great. But that's a really good scene too. I like that a lot. One of my favorite scenes too is when the whole thing with Tommy happens. We're gonna talk about Tommy pretty much in length here because, in my opinion, he's the best character in the entire movie. When he goes to get made and then they tell him what happened, and Jimmy's on the phone like, "What do you mean?" And that whole line where the guy's like, "Listen, something came up, and there's nothing we can do about it." And
here goes the accident.
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. And then Jimmy's like, "What do you mean he's gone?" And he's like, "He's gone." And he just like slams the phone. I mean, yeah, he slams like 3 or 4 times. That scene is just like so powerful. I mean, he goes out and kicks the car like 3 or 4 times. He's talking to Henry like that. I remember watching that as a kid and I was like, damn, he really cared about that guy, man. But think about it from his point of view. Like, that's another thing. Another thing about it is if you watch this movie and you see that scene, and then you go back in your head and you think about the beginning of the movie, you meet Tommy when he's just a little kid. So in essence, like De Niro's kind of like a big brother to Tommy, sort of. Like he takes him under his wing. He tries to help him do. And losing him is like a really big loss. And then even when Ray Liotta directs the scene with Jimmy, De Niro's character, and he's like, Jimmy was so happy. I never seen him so happy. And by the way, this is after he killed all these people after the Lufthansa heist. He's like, yeah, Jimmy's so happy. I never seen him so happy because Tommy was getting made.
Yeah, but that also means that, Tommy becomes like untouchable because you cannot really kill a made man. So
which also means
they become automatically like it's also like self-benefit,
Yeah. But Jimmy's like, and I love that line from where it shows De Niro's character, but Henry's talking, and it's like, as far as Jimmy was concerned, we were all being made. I like that line so much, like you said, because they're all being made, like all the protection, like so cool, such a cool scene. I love that too.
Oh, when he confronts Henry, when Henry comes like bringing the stuff for the guns, and he's like, like get off the shit. Like, what is this? What are you giving me? Get off the drugs.
Yeah,
it's small, but
yeah, that's a cool scene though, because I think really at that point it shows like his smarts, because he's always at that point in time he has the glasses on and he's always like looking like he's really smart and looking into stuff, Yeah, but it's a cool contrast for his character because he goes from like this. It's almost like Henry too. I think it also, this movie also shows you the implications of being involved in organized crime for so long, where it starts to break you down as a person. Like in real life, Jimmy Conway, the character in the movie, the real life character is Jimmy Burke, the real life guy. His son was actually Jimmy Burke's son in real life was involved in the Lufthansa heist. He was a driver. And he got involved in the life with his dad, and he started peddling drugs, and his drug dealer killed him in real life. They don't show that in the movie because it was after the fact. But in real life, Jimmy Conway's character, Jimmy Burke in real life, his son gets killed. You know, it's like, and at the end of this movie was made in 1990. Jimmy Burke in 1994 died of cancer while he was in jail. He wasn't eligible for parole until 2004. He would have been 78 years old. He got sentenced to 20 years to life in prison for murder. Like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah, but also, that all the guys suddenly, are being killed. And it basically just shows that you're never really too sure of, like, will he be killed or will he be arrested? Because there will always be a rat somewhere, like season 2 of Sopranos, basically, where Big Pussy is being the rat. And, he's being considered family. And once again, like, the enemy that could kill you is also the one that could betray you. Like, you just don't know. Like, they all smile on your face. And, like, especially in, like, season 3, they realize, like, fuck, he was dressed as Santa. He walked in there with the fucking Santa suit on, the bit already, like, the devices.
Yeah, even Henry mentions that when he gets busted by the cops because they point a gun at him, and he's like in the car and he's sitting. He's like, if that was the guys coming after me, like the mafia, he's like, they wouldn't even have said anything. I'd have been dead. So he knew it was a cop when he said, "Hey," because he started talking. Like a mafia guy wouldn't talk; he would just kill you.
Yeah. But also with the end with the witness protection thing, where Karen is like, but can I still see my parents? Like, what if one of my parents gets sick? And they're like, yeah, well, then we can make an exception. So the real question is, do you want to live under witness protection, or you just want to get shot?
I mean, pretty much. But that's the point, though. Like he was in so far that even the people he grew up with and worked for were ready to kill him. Like Jimmy was ready to kill him.
Yeah, but are you willing to live, like that? I mean, you see it with, like, Donnie Brasco in that movie, how he goes undercover and his entire real life family is, like, being destroyed by this entire thing. Like, or, for example, like with real life characters, with Sammy the Bull, for example, who went against John Gotti, let's not be too American, and how he basically, when he does an interview now, how people are like, oh, he's a fucking rat, he's a fucking snitch, he's a fucking that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, like he is a rat, like, because he's part of the mob, he's a rat. But when you have another serial killer, they're like, oh, he should be fucking die. And here it's like, yeah, it's cool, he's the mafia, but he's a fucking rat. But just like people just put it.
Well, I think the thing is, it makes it so hard is, like, we talked about how family's everything, and I think that's what's so hard for these guys in real life, because you have to kind of really figure out what family means to you. Like, are these guys that you're doing illegal shit with and killing people and peddling drugs and doing extortion and taking money and stealing and thieving, are they part of your family? Are they part of your family? And in this movie, they talk about that, because Karen's character says it. She's like, it was like we were together all the time. There wasn't any outsiders. It was all of us together at the same time. So these people really kind of become your family. But when it comes to the point where they're killing people, a person who wasn't involved in organized crime could say, I'm done with that person. I'm done. They killed someone. They're a murderer. I don't want anything to do with them anymore. Right? If they chose. But in this, you can't do that. It's like, he killed somebody. Yeah, well, he's part of La Familia, part of the extended family, the mafia family. And how do I get away from that person if I'm not liking this? And that's what I meant by that Henry stuff, where he starts to have this turn in his head, like, oh shit, Tommy's great, like that's the definition. It's hard. And like you said, it destroys families. But then at the end of the day, what you're saying, and I understand, what's more important? Your immediate family, your wife and your kids and yourself, or the family, like
Yeah.
big family.
Yeah, because like also now like I was looking up like because I have a book of Sammy the Bull,
Yeah.
and I was looking up like because I know he's out, and I saw something that he does a show with MTV with his own daughter now, and I was watching the small clip and that his daughter like goes over to his place, and she was like in some series called Mob Wives or something like that. I'm just like, who can you really trust? Because even the daughter is now taking advantage of like, oh yeah, my dad is Sammy the Bull, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but then again, like you cannot really fuck with the mafia. They will always find you.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, but that's exactly the point. Like, and like you said,
But I
that's
guess
what.
that's also a good trick. Sorry for interrupting you, because he
No,
maybe he's like, the more I am in the public eye, the more protected I am. Maybe I don't know.
technically, but it kind of goes back to this whole movie, like with Henry Hill and stuff. I mean, think about it. I'll be honest with
Oh,
you.
God.
Henry Hill got lucky. Think about it.
Oh,
He got really lucky because he was lucky enough
lucky
to,
channel.
with the Lufthansa heist, he was lucky enough to get Paulie put away and Jimmy put away for other stuff. Had those guys, let's say hypothetically, this happened 20 or 30 years before this, and he was like in his 20s instead of in his 40s, right? And those guys got out of prison. What do you
Excuse
think
me.
would have happened?
I think he also got away with it because he was not really Italian or considered Italian. Like he could not be part of the family. I think if he was fully Italian, it would have been a whole different story, I guess.
Well, here's the thing.
Because he's being called like an acquaintance, not part of the
Yeah,
family.
sort of. But at the same time, right? To get revenge, the Gambino crime family didn't kill Henry. They knew. They knew he was associated with Tommy's character and Jimmy's character in that murder of Billy, but they still let those two guys live. Why? Don't you find that interesting? Why did they only kill Tommy? Why?
Well,
Why
if
didn't they
this
kill
was
everybody? Why didn't they? You know why? The reason
this was
why,
the '80s, because the guy, what's his name again, that was running the Gambino family then,
I'm not sure.
Gotti killed him.
I'm not sure.
Jotun. Wait, let me look it up.
You'll find it.
Uh,
No, but I just find that interesting that Tommy was the only one that they killed. And in real life, Tommy actually, nobody knows what happened to Tommy DeVito's real life character he's based on, Tommy DeSimone. He went missing, Tommy DeSimone. So nobody knows
like
what
Hoffa,
happened.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows what happened to him. They assume he got killed, but he actually did do these murders in real life. He actually did kill, like, made men of the Gambino crime family. I think he killed more than just Billy in real life. He killed like 2 or 3 guys from that family. So nobody knows where he's at to this day. But I think it's funny that Jimmy and Henry didn't get pinched. You know?
Paul Castellano.
There you go. Castellano, that's it.
Yeah. He was then the boss, which ties back to that Netflix series that I told you about. But yeah, basically he was like busy banging the maid, so Castellano. So of course you wouldn't know.
No,
You
but I
would
mean,
really watch it. It's so fucking interesting.
I will.
Netflix.
I will. Isn't that interesting to you though? Why did they only kill Tommy? I don't
Because
know.
he's Italian and he went too far. So many fucking times. Like he would just
That's
shoot
true.
people at random. Like the
That's true.
kid that plays
He was the most violent.
Christopher.
Yeah, he was the most violent guy. He was a
Like
hothead. He couldn't
shoots him
control.
in the foot, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well it was an accident, you know."
Wasn't
And
that so? Isn't that so cool though? That even though they have these guys in here, they do to a certain extent have this code of respect and like they have morals. Not. I'm not saying they're like moral, but like they have morals in this code. Like, isn't it cool how Paulie's character was a capo, but he was like really conservative? He was doing illegal shit and he had people killed, but it wasn't like he wouldn't be like explicit about it. He wouldn't go off the handle. He would do it in a really mature, like conservative, well structured, organized crime, organized way, right? Whereas Tommy was like, off the handle, just fucking flying loose about every little thing. But I think that's funny too, because even when he's a kid, let's talk about Tommy. Even when he's a kid in that opening scene, when Henry's getting pinched, it's funny how his character changes too. He's hiding behind a car and he runs upstairs to tell Paulie that Henry's getting pinched, right? Tommy doesn't become that later. Tommy gets a lot more ballsy and starts to go out. And I think maybe his character developed a sort of courage or confidence when he started to realize, like, hey, look, I'm 100% Italian. I could really do something with this. Whereas the other guys, because initially Tommy's a kid. He's working for Jimmy, who's Irish and Italian, right? So these two kids, Tommy and Henry, start working for the capo. But when you first meet Tommy in the movie, he's with Jimmy, right? And he runs upstairs honestly, it's almost like wimpy. He's hiding from the cops and he runs up there and he's like, "Hey, Paulie, Tony just got Henry just got pinched."
Mm.
You know? Then later down the road, it flashes forward 15 years and he's hanging out with Henry and they're BSing, and then he really starts to come out of his shell and be this like.
Well, I think it also is because he's very insecure, as from his childhood, and that he just basically wants to show off with the big guys. It's pretty much, it shows everything when, like when there's this scene, like, what are you laughing at, when they're all together in the restaurant. But when the guy comes up to him like, hey, you already have like a bill here for like $1,000 or $7,000, you haven't paid anything. It's like, why are you embarrassing me in front of my friends? Like, because like the insecurity kicks in. He starts shooting or beating, whatever. That's at least my vision.
No, I agree. That you said it better than I did. I mean, that was the word I was looking for.
Know,
insecurity. Right? Yeah. Here we go. Here,
yeah.
Oh. We're definitely going to touch on that. That's an amazing scene. Let's talk about that scene, because I know that you love that scene. We talked about it before the stream. Let's talk about that. Is that his best line? Is it his best performance? Is it the best scene with Tommy in the movie?
But like, what are you laughing at?
No, the shine box scene.
Oh,
well, yeah, the shine box one. What do you think? You talked about the laughing thing a little bit. We can talk about. I mean, Tommy's pretty much going to take up a lot of time here because he's my favorite character in the entire movie. I think he's just, Joe Pesci is amazing as him. I think Joe Pesci won an Oscar for that. He's just really
he is
good at this.
Amazeballs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, the insecurity shows up because he wants to be seen as this badass, and then here you have this one guy coming in from jail 15 years later or something, belittling him in front of his like heroes, like the De Niro character, like, oh, I can make money with him, blah 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 blah. So, but yeah, that final thing, like, go get the shoebox, and when he just like, motherfucker.
I love it.
It could have been me saying that, like in the end, like, I'll go get the shoebox. Like, like, just as I told you, like yesterday after the stream, that little like.
He just pissed them off so much. Yeah, they walk in. You guys don't know the scene. You probably do because we're all talking in the chat. They walk into Henry's bar. At this time, Henry's had enough money because he's been working for the mafia for so long he can buy a bar, right? He's seeing this girl, Janice, on the side outside of Karen, his wife, and he has all this money, and they're doing stuff together and doing all this crazy shit, and he ends up getting his own place. Like, he has his own restaurant or his bar or whatever. So he hosts this party for this guy who gets released from jail named Billy Batts, who was actually a real guy. I think his real name was like Billy Batts Benvito or something like that. I can't remember his last name. Yeah, but he's there, and he's sitting there drinking, and then Tommy walks in later, and he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot he was gonna be here. And, I can't believe he's here." Blah, blah. So he goes over, and he's like, "Hey, Tommy." This guy's like, "I haven't seen you for like 6 years. Tommy, get over here. How are you doing?" He comes over, and he's like grabbing him. He's like, "You little prick." He says it to him. So that already pisses him off. He doesn't say anything, though. He's cool about it. And they're sitting there. He's like, "Hey, watch the shoot. And he's joking around with them. And then he said, "What are you busting my balls for? What are you busting my balls?" He's like, "Listen, Tommy, if I really wanted to bust your balls," he's like, "I'd tell you to go get your shine box." And Tommy's starting to get really pissed off. He's like, "Oh, fuck." He's like, "This guy could shine shoes." He's like, "They look like fucking mirrors." He's like, "They looked amazing. They were the best." And then he's like, "Okay, man, I understand." He's like, "Maybe you haven't heard." He's like, "You went up there." He's like, "Nobody came up there to tell you." He's like, "I don't shine shoes no more." And he's like, "What's the matter with you?" He's like, "I'm sorry. I'm just busting your balls." He's like, "I haven't seen you for a long time." He's like, "Just take it easy." He's like, "I'm just busting your balls. Forget about it." And he says, "Hey, Tommy, forget about it. Salute." And he takes a drink of this whiskey. And then Tommy's getting ready to take a drink of his whiskey. And then as soon as Billy Bats puts the glass on, he's like, "Now go get your fucking shy box." And then Tommy smashes the glass. He's like, "You motherfucker, you fucking." He goes over to like beat the shit out of him. And Henry tells his girl to leave. And Jimmy's holding him back.
He's I think also because he brought in this new girl, right? He wants to show off. Like,
exactly. You said the insecurity thing. Exactly. Yeah. And I love that line De Niro says too. He's like, "What the fuck's his problem?" He's like, "What's his problem?" He's, "I'm just busting his balls." He's like, "I didn't even say anything to upset him." And then De Niro's like sitting there. He's like,
"Well, you did."
He's like, "Yeah, you kind of insulted him a little bit." He's like, "You were a little out of order yourself." I love that line so much. And then De Niro, the sneaky fucker, is sitting there talking to Billy Bats. And he's like, "Yeah, I was up for 6 years, blah, blah, blah." Henry opens the door and lets Tommy in. And then he fucking beats the shit out of him. Oh, my God. I don't want to get blood all over your floor. He's like, puts a gun in his mouth and he's going to blow his head off. "I don't want to get blood all over your floor." Like Jimmy knocks the gun out of his hands and they wrap him up in tape claws and shit. That whole scene, though, I remember watching that and I was like, that is fucking insane, dude. What happens after that? Oh my goodness. They take him in the car, go to Tommy's mom's house. They say they hit a deer and they got to cut the hoof out of the grill or whatever. Tommy pulls out this fucking machete. So what happens is they're driving down the road and it kind of goes to the scene that was at the very beginning of the movie. You realize that was the scene at the very beginning of the movie, like the opening fucking scene of the movie. It goes back to that point. This is probably like over halfway through the movie at this point. And the guy's like, "You got a gas? You got a flat tire or something? Pull over and let's check it out." Because that's what Tommy said. He's sitting in the back because Henry's driving and he thinks he has a flat tire. Well, here, Billy Bats is still alive and he's like shaking in the back of the car. Henry gets the key and he opens it, and then Tommy pulls out the knife and it shows it in like slow motion. He just starts stabbing him. He's like, "You're still alive, you motherfucker!" He stabs him like 4 or 5 times. And De Niro pulls out a 38 and just shoots him like 3 or 4 times. It's, I mean, a really, really visceral, like visual scene. Amazing direction by Scorsese as usual. But I mean, I remember seeing that for the first time and I was like, "Holy shit, man."
You think he's dead?
That's when you really know, like I said, even before that, Henry knows he's in deep shit because he knows Tommy just lashed out at a made man, is part of the Gambino crime family, and he knows he was involved. So he's like, and that gets even worse because then they kill him and bury him. And they have to go back and move his body later because of the complex thing we talked about. And it's like, God damn. That was a great scene, though. A great scene with Pesci. What's another Tommy DeVito scene you love? The clown scene you mentioned?
Oh yeah, definitely, because the majority of that was like improvised, and you could tell by, like Henry's, or at least by Ray Liotta, like how he's really sitting there like, is this happening? Like he just has such quick wit and comebacks.
That's one of the most iconic lines ever from any mafia movie ever. "Well, funny how? Am I a fucking clown, huh? Am I here to fucking amuse you?" I love that line so much. He's like, "No, Tommy, what the hell's wrong with you? What's the matter with you?" He's like, I'm just joking. He's like, it's like, how am I funny, huh? How am I funny? He's like, "You're just funny. Just the way you tell a story, you know what I mean?" He's like, "No, I don't know what you mean." He's like, "You fucking said it. How the fuck am I fucking funny?" And then Henry's like, "Jesus, Tommy."
Yeah, I would actually just love to sit there and watch like Martin Scorsese's face, like when that is actually happening. Like he must probably be thinking like, "Holy shit, this is so going into the movie."
It is. Did Tommy shoot Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, he did, because he tells the other guy to make a coffee. Which is also, I think, an improvised part.
Wait, was the guy who played Stax Samuel L. Jackson? Was that Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty young. What is it? He's in the movie, so I assume it's him. I mean, not to be like a racist, but I love also that scene where, thank you, Luigi, for reminding me, where he tells the guy to make coffee, and then the shooting happens, and he comes back. He's like, "But you told me to make coffee. Well, we just make a coffee to go." And he really just walks towards the door. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm kidding.
See, I love that line too because it goes in reverse to what happens with Spider in that scene. Because like he's basically like just contradicting himself. He's fucked up in the head. That scene like really clearly defines it. It's like the other scene I wanted to mention was the Spider scene we talked about, where they go to a bar and there's this guy who is working at the bar. He's an Italian guy. He knows the guys. He knows the Lucis. He knows Paulie. He knows Henry. He knows Tommy. He knows Jimmy, and he's bringing them drinks. And he's not too smart. You get this feeling that this like kid's not too smart. Tommy's like, "Where's my drink? Bring it over here." And he's like, "What, you want a drink, Tommy?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been waiting here for fucking 20 minutes about this goddamn drink." He's like, "I got my fucking drink." He's like, "You want a drink now?" Like this guy's saying, like the kid's not too bright. So then Tommy just starts laughing. He pulls a 38 out and he's like, "What was that John Wayne movie called?" Blah 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 blah. And he's talking. He's like, "Dance it back over here." He starts shooting, and he shoots Spider, this guy who plays Christopher in The Sopranos, in the foot. And he's like, "Ah!" And Henry goes over and he's like, "We gotta take him to a hospital." So then they take him to the hospital, and it comes back to the bar again. This is like the day after or something. He has his foot all taped up in like bandages or some shit.
Yeah, but also Ray Liotta's face, like really, like he's really just in shock by Tommy. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You keep doing this shit.
And then, he has the bandage. Spider has the bandage wrapped up on his foot, and fucking Joe Pesci or Tommy says something. He's like, "Jesus Christ, Spider!" He's like, "That bandage on your foot's bigger than your head," and he's like, "Fuck you, Tommy." He's like, "Holy!" And the nearest character's like, "Holy shit, did you hear that?" He's like, "This kid's got some balls." He's like, "Yeah, buddy, buy yourself something." He's like, "He got some balls." He's like, "You shoot the guy in the foot, he tells you to go fuck yourself." He's like, and he's joking. De Niro's like counting money or has cards in his hands. He's joking. He's like, Tommy, he's like, "You gonna take that? You gonna take that from his punk? You let him talk to you that way?" And Joe Pesci's just sitting there like pissed off. He's like, he's not saying a word. He's just like staring at him. He's like,
no.
He's like, "Jesus Christ." He's like, "What?" And De Niro's like saying, "Well, you let a punk say that?" He's like, "What the hell's the world coming to?" And then fucking Pesci just pulls out this 45 and shoots Spider like 3 times and kills him. And he's like, "That's what the fucking world's coming to." Oh my God. That scene is amazing.
It almost makes you like think back of like the Joker scene, with De Niro and Joaquin. Like, you get what you fucking deserve.
That reminds me of that too, because I think the screenplay for that, or some of them, I think it was written like originally by Scorsese. And I think Todd Phillips, when Todd Phillips talked about that movie and how he crafted it, he said he got inspiration from Martin Scorsese's movies and the King of Comedy movie with De Niro. So like it really does have that kind of Scorsese-esque vibe to it, I love the Joker movie because of that too. Like I thought it was a really cool that scene too. And it's cool how it's De Niro.
But the faces of both De Niro and Ray Liotta, like, this guy's fucking insane. Like, he's gonna get us all killed.
He hits Tommy again. He's like, "What the fuck's the matter with you?" He's like, "I was only kidding with you, the guy." He's like, "I was just joking with you." And then Tommy's just sitting there like with a straight face. He's like, "How the fuck was I supposed to know you were fucking joking?"
Yeah.
He's like, "He was a rat. His whole family's a bunch of rats anyways." Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You can justify killing a guy? And then Henry's over there like feeling his pulse, and he's like, "He's dead." Oh my God.
It was a mistake.
That was one of my favorite
scenes. Or an
scenes.
accident. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that scene so much. Tommy, the character, just Pesci for the stuff he does in this movie. He deserved that Oscar. It was just like absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
For the short guy he's the one that brings the biggest energy and blows everyone literally off the screen when he is on there as well. And I think the same happens also with like The Irishman.
Oh yeah.
Because as much as I love Pacino, when Pesci comes on, you're just like focused on him. You're just like, damn. And it makes you also. That movie also makes you nostalgic, because
oh yeah, absolutely.
This could be the last movie ever with all these guys together in there, because they might be maybe saying like, "Oh, we're gonna do the same shit with another one," but who knows? Maybe one will die or something like that.
You know what? Saying that, and how about the Scorsese movie? And if nobody's ever seen The Irishman, please go watch it. It's a fucking amazing movie. It's absolutely amazing. It's the only movie with Pacino, De Niro, and Pesci together. The only one with all 3 of those legendary actors.
And the only one Pacino did with Scorsese. Finally, fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's an amazing movie. I love it, and it's so reminiscent of the stuff we're talking about. You know it. You can just see it's classic Scorsese. Like the scene with Frank Sharon when I know we're going off with The Irishman here, but it's Scorsese, so it's related. You know, the little girl, his daughter, gets hit by the shopkeeper, Joe. Remember? And De Niro's character, Frank Sharon's like, "Did he hit you? Did he hit you?" And she's like, "Yeah." So he goes down to the store. It shows De Niro and his daughter walking down to the store, and he's like, "Wait out here." And he goes in there. He's like, "Hey, you hit my fucking daughter?" He's like, "I'm sorry, your daughter was out of line." And De Niro just takes this guy and he starts beating the shit out of him. He kicks him in the face twice, like hard. He steps on his hand. He's like, "Take that, you motherfucker!" And he just walks away. Walks away. It's amazing. And there's a scene in there where he walks up behind the guy in that movie and shoots him, and he just lays there in the alley, and there's like blood all over the floor, and he just walks up the street. And he takes all the guns and just throws them in the river, like they. And there's a line where De Niro's like, "If they went to the bottom of this river, he's like, they could arm a small country." It's like unbelievable. There's so many guns down there from all the murders and shit they used to do, the mafia, Philadelphia and shit.
But just also, you know, like in general, when I also was watching all the interviews, I almost felt like crying every time I would see like an interview together with now Pacino and De Niro together, or fucking Scorsese next to Al Pacino. I was like, oh my god, this is what I wanted to see for years. And
yeah, same here. I never understood that.
To think that they're almost like already with like one foot in the grave, you know. It's like shit, it took so long, but I'm so happy that I'm able to experience this moment, you know. Like, okay, I'm getting too fucking emotional. Fuck it, maybe it's my period.
No. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, as a kid, I said the same thing. I can remember being a kid, and like once I started to get, like when I was a teenager, getting into these Scorsese movies and following a director, I was like, how come he's never done anything without Pacino?
Yeah.
You know, it'd be perfect sense. Like the guy who did Scarface, the guy who did Carlito's Way, the guy who did Donnie Brasco, the guy who did the Godfather movies. You know, even him playing the devil in like Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves, like just that role, that sinister role. Like you would think that Scorsese would be all over that shit. And finally, when this came out, I can remember when it was announced last year, like on Netflix. I was like, "Oh my god!" I got my family together and we watched it. I was like, "You guys need to see this." It was family and friends. We had a party for The Irishman. I was like, "This is amazing. Let's have a party." You know, because I've been waiting for that for years. I mean, decades. I waited for a Pacino and Scorsese movie with De Niro and Pesci and. The thing that was great about it wasn't just Pacino was going to be with Scorsese. It was Pesci was coming out of retirement from 1999 to do another movie, like over 20 years later. Like that's amazing to me, you know. And he kills it, like you said, in a movie as Bill Bufalino, he kills it. He's legendary.
Yeah, it's so. I also feel like it's kind of like a bittersweet ending to the whole gangster era. You know, like now they're all old. Those type of movies will never be made again because they were made by those awesome actors that are now in The Irishman. So I really feel like this is like this, what do you call it? Like this graceful bow of by whatever. What's the term?
Yeah, it's like the curtain call. It's the curtain call. The curtain's coming down.
Yeah.
The guys are. But here's the thing. I don't think they're going to hang it up. I could see them doing more. Like I wasn't expecting the Joker.
Yeah, but as I said, you know, like they could announce another movie with all the guys together, but you know, what if one gets sick, or what if one gets this, what if one gets that? I mean, they're already like near fucking 90, so I really feel like that we were able to experience this movie.
They're near 80, not 90, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think De Niro's 77. I think De Niro's 77. I think Pacino actually is 80. I think Pesci's in his late 70s. Scorsese's in his late 70s. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, Eastwood is 90. But still, you know.
No, you're right. I mean, it takes a toll on your body being 77, 80 years old doing movies. I mean, like De Niro, that role, when you look at him in that movie, that came out last year. He filmed that shit when he was like 76 years old. Like, think about that. He doesn't. When you look at him walking and shit, he's walking like he's a fucking 45, 50-year-old dude. Like the dedication all those actors have to these roles is, I mean, absolutely unbelievable.
But also, I guess, due to the relationship with Scorsese, because I think it's also, you know, the loyalty that they have towards each other.
Well, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Scorsese and De Niro actually grew up in the same neighborhood. They were friends since they were kids. And that's why De Niro was in all those movies with Marty. And actually, De Niro is a director too. Obviously, he did Bronx Tale. He has his own production company. Him and Scorsese actually did a joint production on this. It was De Niro and Scorsese on The Irishman. Not on Goodfellas, excuse me. It was on The Irishman. We're talking about Irishman here. They did a joint production on that movie. So they were both like consultants for that. I mean, and think about it. If you're one of your best friends that you grew up with was a famous director, Martin Scorsese, look at De Niro's career. He had his own production company called Tribeca Studios that makes movies. He produces stuff all the time now. Where do you get that from? You get that from Marty. So I love De Niro so much because he's a director, he's a producer, he's an author, he's an actor. He's just he's a polymath, like a modern day polymath. He's just like gifted in more than one thing. And I love that.
Amazing eyebrows.
Yeah, always. His face
I
too.
really, yeah, I mean, he's Sicilian, so obviously he's like beautiful, like Pacino, but which is also kind of like a thing, like they're both Sicilian, but this is the first time that they work together. But I also like that one. I think it's like a documentary that he did with his parents, and I think it's like in his parents' apartment. I think it's somewhere on YouTube. And like the mother like cooking, and she's like explaining to you like all the meatballs you put in the sauce, and like, okay, this is not really like an Italian thing, but okay, but it's an American Italian thing. Just the way that she's talking and all that, it just makes you, well, it already gives you the feeling that you're there.
Absolutely.
But you would have loved to just like sit there and just like listen to her talk, all the old stories, and you really have that homey feeling. And I think that's why he put his mother in the movie, because she is just so homey and natural. That it gives you that homey feeling, like, oh, we're going to eat, and why you're not talking.
Yeah, I mean that's a great thing too. But Scorsese also directed a lot of music movies. Scorsese's a big music guy. He has a documentary about Bob Dylan. I don't know if you knew that. It's actually really good. He has a documentary. He has a documentary about the band. They're called The Band, the Last Waltz movie. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's a hell of a movie. It's amazing. And then De Niro actually did a documentary about his dad, Robert De Niro Sr. Robert De Niro actually is Robert De Niro Jr. He's named after his father. His father was actually an Italian expressionist painter. And there's a documentary about his dad and his paintings and all that good stuff. Like Robert De Niro Sr., Robert De Niro's dad, they look like identical. Like if you see pictures of them, they look like so much alike. It's insane. It's like his twin pretty much. But yeah, that whole family thing. See, we're going back to that. You just mentioned it. The whole, even though this is organized crime and all this stuff, the family is the most important thing. It really is. It really is. And I think it's, like I said, I think it gets lost in translation a lot of what these guys start to identify as their family. What's more important? What do you really consider your real family? The life, the mafia, the mob, being a gangster, or, like I said earlier, your actual family who has to go through all this stuff with you while you're trying to do stuff for them, and it's hard. A lot of people embrace it and some people can't. Even Karen's character, like, she's torn. She embraces it initially.
Yeah.
Or she's leery, then she embraces it, and then she's leery again because bad shit starts happening. And
but
even
I think,
Henry,
like, every character says, like, sometime in a movie, in any gangster movie, like, but this is the life I chose.
Yeah. And even at the end of the movie, the very last line, when he goes into witness protection, Henry's like, here I am living a normal everyday life. He's like, I can live the rest of my life like a schnook. Like,
What is a schnook?
It's like a schmuck. It's like a goof. It's like a regular guy. Like, you're not made. You're not cool anymore. You're just a regular dude. You're average,
Like
before that, it's funny because to contrast it, before that, he's sitting there at the bar and he's like, we pictured the guys who went out to work 9 to 5 and everyday jobs just like they were losers. They were nothing. They were nobodies. Like he says that. And you can see that in the movie The Bronx Tale too. If you ever see The Bronx Tale, directed by De Niro, his son says the same thing. De Niro's like, your name's Calogero, not C. He's like, that's your grandfather's name. He's like, I gave you that name. Your grandfather was a hardworking man. He's like, you got to get up every day and go to work. He's like, it's easy to point a gun. And then C's character's like, yeah, for what, a better life? He's like, what? He's like, look around. He's like, we have nothing. He's like, we don't have a car. We have nothing. He slams the door on De Niro and walks out. It's like this whole idea of like getting more, like just having everything that you want, that kind of thing. But it all comes back to the same thing. Family's the most important thing. At the very end of the movie, his character realizes, like, oh shit. But it's too late at that point. Like, all right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's really, really cool. What anything else about Goodfellas that sticks out to you? Any other character moments? Any other things with the characters where they come together, they associate with each other, they have dialogue together, you know, or anything, you know, anything about Scorsese, anything about mafia movies in general. I mean,
Okay, well then, let's continue for another 2 hours. No, I mean
it
Scorsese.
is
He
awesome.
is one of my favorite directors. I remember buying this DVD box with a bunch of movies with him, and you know you see the connection with De Niro, Harvey
Mm-hmm.
Keitel,
Mm-hmm.
and you know a few more. Can't think of them right now. Sorry. He's just like, especially you know the 70s and 80s stuff. I really like. I mean, of course, the new stuff that he did for the last 20 plus years is cool, but I really more long towards the you know the golden age of movies, so to say. That's more my preference, though.
Oh,
You know,
same
as I
here.
s-
Yeah.
um, De Niro, fuck.
I know, right? It's like what bad movie has he done? I really can't think of any.
Well, I think the last 20 years he made a lot of mistakes. It's just recently, like every now and then, he has some good movies, like you know Al Pacino. Let's be honest, the last 20 years has kind of like been a disaster. Uh,
Wait, hold
I
on a
think,
second. Listen, did you ever see the movie Righteous Kill with Pacino and De Niro? They both play cops.
yeah, I didn't like it.
I thought it was pretty decent. What
Yeah, I
about
was just,
that's because they weren't Italian guys in it. That's why. What about Insomnia with Pacino and Robin Williams? You ever see that? Did you ever see Insomnia with Pacino and
yeah.
Robin Williams? It's a good
Also,
flick.
Simone and Angels in America. Was that like a series or something?
I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah, I also saw that. You know, it's like less impressive than what he had done like 20 years before that.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Well, I think it's sort of like music, what we talked about the other day. There are certain artists and certain directors and stuff like that who can still make quality shit 20 years later. Like, and I'll say it again, Iron Maiden. I know it's about movies, but their old stuff will always be the best. Like you said, the golden age of movies.
mm,
Like for me, their albums in the 80s are the golden age. And then the new stuff, I consider it like a renaissance, like it's a rebirth. It's not quite as good as the old stuff, but it's really good. I mean, like it's on par. And I think that's how Scorsese is. I think Scorsese's stuff is not as good as it was back in the day, but it's still really fucking good. You know, like
mm.
stuff he does with DiCaprio is really good. I mean, I love Shutter Island. I loved Departed. I love Wolf of Wall Street. I love those movies because it has that
And once
same
again, he really brought
spirit.
out the best thing in the actor, especially
Yeah.
with DiCaprio, because you know DiCaprio was more like, oh, the Titanic boy, and then he did like the beach movie, and then it was it Gangs of New York?
Yes, Gangs of New York too. I forgot to mention that. Great movie. Daniel Day
That yeah,
Lewis.
that
Yes. Yeah.
people really started to like turn like, oh, actually, DiCaprio was actually not that bad, instead of just being the pretty boy with the bowl haircut. And also talking about DiCaprio, he did a movie with Lorraine Bracco, the Basketball Diaries.
Never saw that one. Is it good?
Yeah, she plays like his mom, like DiCaprio, like gets on drugs and shit.
What about this one, Sana? Pacino with the trans roommate.
Which, hold on,
Mm. Yeah, that's
am
not
I?
ringing bells either. What movie is it? Did I mention it? Is it in Insomnia? Because I haven't seen it for a while. Departed rules. Yes, it does. Amazing movie. Gangs of New York, amazing. Yeah.
Also, that was like when
Beach, yeah.
Cameron Diaz had like kind of like a turn. Like she was first like known as like the babe of The Mask, and then
Oh my God,
there's something about Mary.
her and the Mask and something about Mary. Those are some fond childhood memories for me.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz, baby. Whew. The Mask, especially that silver dress she wears. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, what is the song again? My name is Cuban Pete. No.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
He plays the maracas. Shake, shake, boom, shake, shake, boom. Yeah.
Yeah, that song is so fucking catchy. Like sometimes it just pops up in my head. Like no.
He's the hottest guy in Havana. Yeah, I know. I sing it sometimes too. It's so catchy. I watched the shit. I loved Jim Carrey as a kid too. He was like a huge. My two comedy guys when I was growing up as a kid for like comedy were Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. Like I love them. They to this day.
Yeah,
They're
but we
still,
were like generation. Ace Ventura.
yeah, Ace Ventura.
Dumb and Dumber, especially that shit scene.
Yeah, amazing. Yes. The King of the Rumba Beat. Love it.
Yeah.
Then Havana, we're talking about Cuba. That's Scarface. It's another movie.
Oh.
Man, cars are loud around here. Dang. Mustang 5.0. GT Cobra.
Scarface is something
Great.
very special towards me. I bought like even like all different editions of like the DVD, Blu-ray, like even VHS.
Yeah.
I have fucking posters of it. You know, those button thingies, whatever you guys call it, because buttons and whatever. T-shirts that I mean, and it's not even like because like he's like such a badass gang. Like just that the greed he has in that movie and
Oh my god.
Pelican fly,
It's classic.
cockroach and everything.
My favorite scene. We need to do it sometime because like my favorite scene. My favorite scene in that is the end when he walks out and he takes like literally 30 gunshots, but he's so coked up. He's just like, he's like still like standing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But then, you know, the most lousy attack that he gets shot in the back, you know, that's just like fucking loser.
Yeah. My love is like a red, red rose, and I'm a little thorny. The Mask. It's such a good movie. I won't be coming home this Christmas. Tell son, I do give a damn. Such a great line. Hold me closer, Ed.
I'm thinking now, because I actually wanted to do fucking Godfather 2 next week, but now I'm like, yeah, Scarface. Scarface is...
Damn, Sana. You're picking these 4.5-hour movies, man.
Well, you got like the other fucking fairy tale movies coming up, so that's like 500 hours.
I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever. It's cool.
I mean, Michael Corleone turning fucking... Oh, just that scene alone where he's like, oh, you can have my answer now. My offer is this. Nothing. I'm like, fuck. Just that alone makes me want to watch the movie or Scarface.
What do you want? You're like,
push it to the limit.
Yeah. I want the whole world, Chico, and everything in it. Yeah, baby. Tony Montana.
Fucking amazing hair of Michelle Pfeiffer. Fuck. Can't you stop saying fuck all the time? Pelican fly.
No, it comes from saying fuck. Tony Montana, baby.
Oh, and then he warns, you know, like, do not go out with my kid sister. And he fucking does it. Like, has he not ever fucking watched gangster movies before? Like, you don't do that shit.
I'll fucking kill you, cockroach. Amazing.
Like, especially when he gives his sister so much money, like, you know, you can do the beauty school, you know, to become the hairdresser, open a hair salon. And then instead, she just, like, buys, like, fancy dresses and hangs out with the guy in the club, like, that shit.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what the whole movie's about. I mean...
And his face when he's sitting there, like, is that my kid sister?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point to tie back into Goodfellas because look how it involves the family, like organized crime. And I know it's Scarface, but it's related. I mean, it's relatable. Like, He's looking there and he's like, my kid's sister's doing this shit. Holy hell. This is supposed to be about me. I'm supposed to be providing for her so she can have a better life. And she's doing the same shit I'm doing. But it goes to show you like how much influence that has, you know? Like, think about it. I'm the eldest in my family. Like, I only have one brother. That's it. Me and my brother. That's it. But I can tell you that my brother emulated a lot of shit that I did, you know? Like, if I did something and it was wrong, he would try it, and if he knew I was going to get in trouble, he wouldn't do it because, like, I was the one who took the first steps. So when you're seeing Tony Montana doing that shit, and he has his kid sister going like, "If he can get away with it, I can get away with it." What do you think's going to happen, right? Same thing with Goodfellas. Same thing with Jimmy Conway getting away with stealing shit, and then teaching Tommy to do it, and teaching Henry to do it, and
Michael and Fredo.
Michael and Fredo, and Sonny and Santino, and all those guys. Same thing. Casino. His character Ace, Nicky Santoro, all those guys.
I haven't seen it this too long ago that I've watched it. Like I do know Sharon Stone is in there. I should really totally rewatch it soon. But is it going to be Godfather 2 or Scarface? Or both? Fuck music.
No, but see, that's what's cool about these streams, especially with this universe we're doing now with kind of like these gang movies and stuff, because we can kind of talk about all the movies together. And it, like I said earlier, how it always relatable. Like it relates so much. Even in Godfather 2, you talk about Scarface. In Godfather 2, he goes to fucking Cuba. Like it's same. It's so relatable. Like it touches like literally everything, you know? We mentioned Donnie Brasco in this. We mentioned how many movies with these actors. Like seriously, like how many movies did we mention that are so similar? Irishman. We talked about Donnie Brasco. We talked about Scarface. We talk about The Godfather. And if you want to tie in even more Scorsese films, listen, guys, if you guys haven't seen any Scorsese films and you've just seen the gangster stuff like Goodfellas and Casino, listen, please go back and look at his stuff because, like Song was saying earlier, like his 70s and 80s stuff are amazing. And then later they're great too with the DiCaprio stuff. But watch the movie Mean Streets with De Niro, Keitel. It's an amazing flick. Watch the movie Taxi Driver with De Niro. It's like an amazing movie, and Harvey Keitel again. It's amazing. Watch the movie Raging Bull with De Niro and Joe Pesci. It's amazing. I mean, those three movies in particular, like off the top of my head here, they are just like absolutely phenomenal movies. And if you want to see a good action thriller crime movie, watch Heat. I mentioned that earlier, directed by Michael Mann with Pacino and De Niro. I mean, these guys are legendary actors. Like the talent and the passion they put into this stuff. I mean, it's almost like they are the characters, and it's hard to do that. And De Niro is like like Sana mentioned earlier about like Joe Pesci doing improvisation. He's what's called a method actor, and method actors are the kind of guys who really get into the role. Like they engross themselves. It's kind of what like Heath Ledger did with the Joker. Like he was the Joker. Like it wasn't like anybody was. So same thing with De Niro. Like he was Jake LaMotta. He is Jimmy Conway in this movie. He is Travis Bickle in Taxi
That
Driver.
makes me think of an Al Pacino interview because there's one on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like from the 70s in the talk show. Well, it was different times then, but it's like a video from a video. So it's kind of like you watch this, you see really someone pressing play. It's like from the 70s. Yeah. And Pacino was like, well, the guy asked him, like, if someone would ask you about acting and blah, 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 what would you tell them? And, you know, he's like, I would tell them this is what we're doing right now. Like, just that little sting, you know, like, or just what, it's actually really funny. Like, you get to see, like, the real Pacino also, that he talks about, that he used to be, like, doing comedy and stuff. And the guy's like, well, I didn't know you were a funny guy. He's like, well, I think I'm a funny guy. Don't you think I'm funny? Because you're so used to, like, when you think of Al Pacino, you think of like Michael Corleone, Tony Montana.
Exactly. He is those
That's
characters.
like the first two things that you think of, but then also all the other gangs, like what's it called? And Justice for All? When he plays like this lawyer.
Yeah. Good movie.
Also a great movie.
Great movie.
Erica, with the guy Fredo, which was like his last movie.
Yeah, he passed away.
Yeah. And then also this other movie that he did. In the 80s, it was 89 with the Blonde Lady. What the fuck was it called? Oh,
It wasn't.
fuck it.
It wasn't. You know,
It's not
are you thinking
Carlito's Way.
Serpico?
No, that was 70s. It was like 89. Hold on. Wait, let me see. Fuck. What's her name? Because she was like kind of like an actress of that time period as well. I believe she also appeared in a Scorsese film. Al Pacino. I'm pretty sure it's 1989. So let's just Al Pacino 1980. Sea of Love.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
And I was right. 1989. I don't know if you can see. Fuck. Sometimes I'm amazed with the shit that I remember. Fuck. It's with Ellen Barkin.
I never saw that one.
And she was in Ocean's 13. Yeah. Well, fuck it. Also, John Goodman is in it. That was probably your mom calling. That was just like do a rewatching.
Nah, it was actually
like,
my brother. It was actually my brother. So it was kind of cool. Didn't I mention him? And then all of a sudden he called. That's crazy.
Ooh,
Like clockwork.
what do you mean? Family don't matter.
Yeah.
Or was it?
I'll call him back. He probably just wants to shoot the shit.
Did you mention ravioli? What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got stood up now.
No more ravioli for me. No, but I mean, isn't it cool how we sat here and just talked about that movie? And really, I mean, we really did talk about it. We talked about how it related to real life. Like this shit actually happened. And then when you sit there and you talk about, now he's texting me. Then when you sit there,
why are you picking up?
When you sit there and talk about all the stuff that's going down, I mean, how it relates, and it's hard to believe sometimes that this shit actually happens. And I think that's what's.
This is. Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead. What were you gonna say? No, go ahead. What were you gonna say? This is what.
I'm always interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. Go ahead.
I come off so rude though, but it's also, as I said before, like I was always really into the whole fucking true crime shit, reading about it, blah blah blah. I know I really understood it, and then there's you who's like, oh yeah, and then you throwing other things like, yeah, like finally like we could geek out about the true crime shit, like especially because these movies are based on real characters. Also the stuff that we're really like reading about and watching documentaries about. I'm sending you like a lot of like these YouTube shit, like check this out. Like finally someone fucking gets it.
Yeah. And another thing, guys, I told Sana this before the stream, and it's kind of related to these kind of movies, but in ancient Rome, like not ancient Rome, but like Renaissance time Rome, I think it was like the 15th century, 16th century, something like that. There was a family called the Borgias, and Mario Puzo, the guy who wrote The Godfather, wrote a book called The Family, and it's about the Borgias. And if you guys have never seen the Showtime TV series, The Borgias, Jeremy Irons is in it. He plays Pope Rodrigo Borgia. And it's pretty much like organized crime in Rome with the Pope and his family, Rodrigo Borgia. It's really badass. And it's real. It actually happened. Like, it's a real thing. It's true. It's like real. It's a true crime. Like, we're talking about true crime. It made me reminded me of that. Like, I told someone this before the stream. A lot of people don't think that this stuff really happened, like, and it's just like it's a phenomenon now, but it's been happening for thousands of years. Crime and stuff has been going on for thousands of years. It's always happened, right?
Louis coming.
Oh, I see it. Oh yeah, I just saw it. He's stirring the sauce. Yeah, that's right. That's in Goodfellas. Amazing for reminding that.
Yeah,
and that scene's great too. Because that's when he leaves to go take the girl to the airport, and she's like, "I need my hat," and then he gets busted.
Yeah, that's stupid. But also,
after the dinner,
Gypsy Rossetti, like he brings this sentence to a whole new level when he talks to the girl in like the diner that he's talking like right outside of Jersey. That he's like, someday I'm gonna teach you how to make the sauce. She's like, yeah, but I can cook. Yeah, you just stir it. I'll keep it warm.
Amazing. You know what? It's funny because Louis brought that up, and now you said that, and it makes me think of my childhood again. Like I said, this is real life shit. I remember when my dad was teaching me how to make fucking pasta and meatballs and shit, and he always said, that was the thing, stir the sauce. you know. Then my mom was like, take a noodle and see if it sticks to the wall. You got to throw it on the wall. If it sticks, the pasta's done. If it doesn't, you got to cook it a little bit more. It's like, what? What does that even mean? And she'd have like this little like backboard thing that you threw a piece of pasta on and it stuck. It's like, it's done. It's cool. It's cooked. I didn't never cook it. All right, it's done. That's how we learned how to cook food. That was crazy. Cook pasta and shit. Put a little salt in the water, you know, it'll cook faster. It's like, oh, okay. Little tricks like that. Keep stirring the sauce, Matt. Keep stirring the sauce. I'm going to tell him after we're done with this. Actually, I'm going to text him and say, stir the sauce. I'm like, what the fuck you doing? But yeah. No, I mean, this is really cool because, like you said, Sanne, it's awesome that we get to do this and talk about all the things we're passionate about because this whole thing is an overarching thing. This isn't just a movie. You know, this is like, this is
everything.
This is life. This is like stuff that actually happened to both of us. Like we experienced this shit growing up and we became cinema people. And you told me before, I mean, you said one of your favorite places to see was Italy. You've been there, you know? Amazing.
Yeah, my dream still is to see Sicily. That's been my fucking dream since I was a kid and never been there. And, you know, as I said before, like my mom used to say that, you know, great grandmother was like from that place, whatever. But hence my middle name, Angeline.
Yeah. Giuseppe
You know,
Tony. Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
because I am a sweet little angel.
And
as Sanne, coming from Shoshana, meaning Lily, best friend for life. I'm so angelic, I know. I'm just too good to be true.
You do have a cool Batman shirt on today. That's legit. I'm going to say that right now. I know it has nothing to do with...
Please stare at my tits.
Batman. That's the definition of the bat signal right there. Right? Hey. Robert Pattinson's he's done with the COVID thing now. He's good. He's going to be over to your house later. So he's Batman now. You just showed him the signal. He'll be over.
No thanks. I'll just
demons
order
or
some pizza.
Yeah, that's true. Fallen angels.
What are you saying?
I think you know what he's saying. Do Tommy DeVito. Do Tommy DeVito. Do it. Do it like he says it.
Oh, I cannot do the fucking...
Saying I'm a demon, huh? Do I amuse you? Huh? You saying I'm evil, huh? The fuck does that mean? You fucking said it. Oh my god, I love it so much. The movie's so good.
I'll just say it is what it is.
It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. And
your time is up, Keys.
He's gone.
It is what it is.
No, but the thing that was great about that too is I loved it because, like, oh my goodness, the whole movie is amazing. Okay, first of all, Joe Pesci is the best part about this movie, but the supporting cast, De Niro, and then obviously Henry Hill's a main character. Lorraine Bracco. What's the guy's name who played Paulie Cicero? I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head. Is it Paul Sorvino?
Yes,
Paul Sorvino. Amazing. He's a great character too. Amazing actor. He's in a lot of stuff like this too. He plays like a head honcho and like a lot of stuff. Amazing. I mean, that's my ranking too of all the characters. Like if I had to pick an order of it, then Pesci's the best in this, and then I pick Jimmy Conway because I'm just biased to De Niro. Then Liotta. Then Lorraine Bracco. Maybe even Lorraine Bracco and Liotta are tied for third. And then
definitely because
she really makes his character shine, and vice versa. The scenes with them together are really good. And then obviously Paul Sorvino is just amazing as, you know, Paulie Cicero,
the boss.
Even the other guys in the movie too. Like I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Carbone, he's the guy who ends up in the truck at the end. He's all frozen. He gets thawed out. That's a really cool scene. I remember seeing it as a kid, and I was like, "Oh shit, they freeze people? What the hell?"
Yeah, he was actually in real life born in Sicily, but then raised in Brooklyn. And I think, you know, Scorsese's mom will come then after that because, you know, she really portrays like the typical Italian mom. Like, like, why don't you find a nice girl like that, eh?
I still know girls every night, Ma. He's like, I wake up in the morning, I do my own thing, I'm free. He's like, I love you. I love you. You're the woman I want to be with. I want to be with you, he says. That's a good scene too, with the paintings and stuff. We forgot to mention that, and like the dog.
Oh yeah.
He's like, one dog's going this way, the other one's looking this way. He's like, look at the guy here, the whole head of white hair, the beard. It's like, it's beautiful. Layla.
I guess Key saw a dick pic.
Knock me on my knees, lay low. They play Cream, that song Cream, Sunshine of Your Lovingness too, where Jimmy's smoking that cigar where he's ready to kill Maury. It's like dan 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 dan, and that showcases, like I said earlier, Scorsese's love for rock music too, because he does, like I said, Bob Dylan, the band stuff. He's a huge like classic rock fan. He loves classic rock, Scorsese. So amazing. Anything from you guys in the chat? We'll get ready to wrap this up. Anything else about Goodfellas you guys want to talk about? You guys know about that we don't know? Anything you want to share? Anything at all? We'll go for like 5 more minutes here, son. What do you think?
I fucking knew it. I was like, when he's gonna say the 5 more minutes?
I have to. It's Goodfellas.
No, but you always said it. As soon as you turn to the chat, you're like, okay, because you got 5 minutes to fucking impress me, and then I fuck off.
Hey, look, I got stuff to do. I'm a busy guy. I got things to do around here.
It's Sunday. Gotta go to Sunday dinner with my family.
Forget about it. I gotta do laundry. Gotta do a couple things. Yeah.
A couple things.
Yeah, I gotta go to work early tomorrow, so told you about that. I'm not really looking forward to
it. Yeah. Or decide along with us, shall we do Godfather 2 or Scarface?
Well, really, you're helping Sana decide what she wants to do, but yeah, I mean that's cool because they're both amazing movies. I honestly can't pick. I can't pick between those two because it's like, damn. And we're sitting here talking about a Scorsese movie, then I just talked about all the movies I love of him. It's like, damn, what am I gonna do next?
I have the feeling that you want to do either like Taxi next, because I think that's what
I do. I was like, oh, Travis Bickle. Huh? When Henry takes her through the kitchen.
What?
When he's introducing her to the parts of the kitchen, maybe.
I know there's a cricket sound going on in my head. I'm sorry, it's not a personal movie. So next week is Godfather Part 2.
Just
probably end up like doing
just this mic
girl from Madonna.
Yeah. Actually, we're doing a movie that has nothing to do with gangster stuff next week. That'd be you. Doing Jurassic Park. Where'd that come from?
Oh,
Spielberg, amazing.
That's what does he say? Like, that's a little shit or that's a big shit?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's actually a cool guy.
Jeff Goldblum. Sam Neill. It's a good movie.
But Jeff Goldblum in general, like if you see, like he had this Disney Plus series, right? He's just
yeah.
Like he can come off very interested, but yet not.
Yeah.
So he's almost like you.
Yeah, he is. I have like sarcastic charm. Jeff Goldblum's badass.
Badass.
He is. Clever girl. That's a line from Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. Good stuff. Those are classic movies too, man.
Yeah, I'm only thinking like Sopranos now, guys. I'm very sorry. Of course, I can only remember like the big shit in Jurassic Park because I like talking about shit.
Yes, I'll never forget it. That thing you sent me about the toilets, I was like, what the hell? Amazing.
It's my humor.
No, it's cool though. I mean, it's Louis pulling out quotes from JP. That's legit. There are actual dinosaurs in your dinosaur park. Now he talks about the DNA and genetically enhancing them. Great flick. Michael Crichton too, amazing author.
Never read the books.
Wrote the book, and then Steven Spielberg did it, and Michael Crichton directed Westworld, that movie. But he's the writer of Jurassic Park. Amazing.
Is Westworld the one that came out in like 1997 or something?
No, that's an older flick. I think it was in the 80s it came out, and then they made a TV series based on it. HBO did.
Oh no, Westworld.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was thinking Jurassic Park, like Jurassic World. Stupid. Sorry.
No, that's cool. Jurassic Park came out in 93, I think. And then there was
but the third one.
Yeah, the third one was bad.
Yeah.
I think
I was thinking of that one.
I think Jurassic World came out in 2015, and then they did the sequel.
Oh, is that the newer one?
Yeah. Jurassic World's
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Okay, so I was totally confused. I'm very sorry.
No, that's cool. All right, guys. Well, I think
5 minutes are up.
well, there's like 20 seconds, but I think we're gonna wrap it up. And yeah, I mean, if you guys like Scorsese, you like Goodfellas, please check out his like corpus of work. It's amazing. Same thing with Francis Ford Coppola. If you guys like him, I talked about the 3 movies I love from him, which, or besides Godfather included, and then Dracula, and Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Apocalypse Now. I love this movie. Amazing. But we will see you guys next week. We're gonna do next week. We're gonna flip back again. Sanne's gonna do the movie on her channel on Saturday. I'm gonna do music on Sunday on mine. So I know you're in love with Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Louis, you are the best, man. Yes. Pepperoni Pizza Squad for life. Hey, man. Always appreciate you showing up, man. Love your content. Love your just love your humility, man, and your stuff in the chat is awesome. I love how you help us get this thing going, man. So really, you're part of this too. I mean, and I'm not saying this, and I'm not bullshitting, and I mean this out of like all due respect and everything to you and everything said. Like, without you in the chat and other people in the chat, Keys too, thank you, Stay for coming on. Everybody who showed up on this today. Without you guys in the chat, I mean, you really are part of this stream. I mean, you really are part of the conversation. You do help things flow. And Louis, man, in particular, man, you're always here every time. You show up without fail. I mean, yesterday you told me you had stuff to do with your family. You were still here, man. You were still here. And, you know, that's I can't put into words how much that means, man. There's something to be said about that. So thank you so much, man. You're a great dude. We really appreciate it. And yes, Pepperoni Pizza Squad for life. And you're part of that squad, Louis.
I got 5 pizzas.
I got 5 pizzas. Hey, you know, it's about family, right? Hey, Keys, it's about family. I forget about it. You know, it's a family. We're all family here, right? Yeah, forget about it. You know, Keys is blowing up over there like Tommy DeVito. I love it. But hey, guys.
Oh, Keys, by the way, Keys, are you now also cutting a tank top? Because, you know, the last stream that you was watching, you said you were cutting a tank top or whatever it was.
He's going to pull a Tommy DeVito out. Why are you breaking my balls, huh? Why are you busting my balls, son?
I only lick balls.
Oh, my goodness. Family forever. Yeah, welcome to the family. Forget about it, huh?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be related by blood.
It's true. But we do appreciate you guys. Thanks again.
Because I burn those. You know, if someone would tell me, you can do a sacrifice of your family, like, well, you can take all of them.
Oh, my goodness. Sweater. He's wearing a sweater. I got the long sleeves on today, too.
Oh, yeah. He was asking me earlier. It is kind of cold. Yeah, tomorrow is going to be 13 Celsius. And I'm not sure what the fuck you do in Canada. You know, like in the Americas, and like what the fuck is it called over there, Fahrenheit? Like suddenly there's a European word, but it's not the same as what we.
Yeah, forget about it, you know, slapping the balls, huh? All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Take care. Thanks again.
13 minutes, so we have to end it now.
Yeah, 2:13.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.
Sì, buona giornata.